Vet med is really a diverse subject, profession. The importance of veterinary medicine is not just on the animals, but also on human daily lives. Hi everyone, I'm Wenchi Marie Lumbera. I am a licensed veterinarian here in the Philippines, and currently I am an assistant professor at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Ang pagiging isang veterinaryo ay hindi lamang parang trabaho ng pag-aalaga ng hayop. Animals, plants, environment, and humans are interconnected with each other. There are very much possibilities on what I can do to help other people and also to create something that could help people and animals in their everyday life. As a teacher, my role model would be my mom because she's a teacher too, and I can see how sobra yung dedication ng mga teachers sa work nila. So makikita nyo, I'm a veterinarian, educator, tas ngayon, parang I'm going into data science also. So kung ano yung tingin ko na necessity is I tried to know and learn. But also, aside from the boosting ng education would be the application in the society and entail yung mga data or discoveries from STEM. Kasi hindi po pwedeng tumigil lamang tayo sa pagdiskubre. Kailangan nagagamit yung nadidiskubre. For those young Pinays, just try things. I failed subjects before. I may not be the brightest kid inside the room, but I have the drive kasi nga alam ko kung paano yung mag-fail. And I think that is one of the factor na nag-drive sa akin to go into education and research. Ang mahalaga yung ngayon at yung mga susunod na kailangan galingan mo na. Do not limit yourself. Huwag niyong hayaang malimitahan kayo at sabihin na hindi mo magagawa yan kasi ganito ka lang. And always try things, learn things, and be consistent.
I was very lucky because my professor and his lab, they had a hands-on approach on robotics. So we joined a lot of competitions. And that's where the hands-on experience really matter, because if you don't know what you're working on, if you can't really touch or see what you're working on, it's gonna be harder. So hands-on experience is very, very important. Hi.
Hi. What do you love about your job?
Basically, I don't consider it as a job. I love what I'm doing. It's creating, building, tinkering, analyzing, and problem solving.
What is your vision for the future of robotics in the Philippines?
First of all, there should be an avenue to specialize in it. So universities should be able to offer courses for robotics. And additionally, there should be opportunities for these specializations to be applied in the industry. And hopefully, we can also be globally competitive in this field.
What do you want to say to Pinays who are interested in pursuing a career in STEM? Do you have any words of advice or encouragement?
Well, first of all, try to not make gender an issue, because it really isn't if you think about it, because you're just pursuing what you want, right? And be strong and keep moving forward. So why did you pursue STEM?
When I went to high school, I was introduced to the other science fields, and I became attracted to these fields since I saw them as kind of an explanation of the natural phenomena we see in our everyday lives.
It was really interesting for me. There was a different euphoria when you see what you could have an actual effect in the physical world.
And I really think it's great to see different organizations such as Pinay Skin STEM, where I can talk to real-life Pinay in STEM and kind of hear her backstory and what drove her to pursue this field. I believe everyone should have even the most basic knowledge of STEM. STEM is really the way we understand and appreciate the way we live. I think when we hear experiences from well-known and well-experienced people in the field, it would drive us more to pursue it. So I think with more support from the government, from schools, and exposure, STEM in the Philippines can really flourish and be a globally competitive field.
Yes. Lastly, if you need help, ask for it. You can find support in your family, friends, colleagues, or communities or organizations like this.
Mammals, animals, people and their behavior, movies, films, TV shows, anything. Whatever it is you're studying, if you find the fun in asking questions every day, and taking nothing for granted, and being curious, and if you can adjust as the world keeps changing, then you can STEM too. Science is a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun work. You might be studying science right now in school. You might be taking tests, answering questions, maybe writing a lab report. But is that what science is really about? Hi, I'm Dr. Inez Ponce de Leon, and I'm from the Ateneo de Manila University. I'm still asking questions about how people understand science, and I do a lot of research in science communication. Science is all about the journey, not the destination. First, you have to think in terms of long-term work, and you have to be prepared for criticism. Your friends, your peers, your fellow scientists won't always agree with how you interpret your findings, and that's okay. It's a scientific method. If you're working in a school laboratory, you might feel that you're following a recipe from start to finish. But in science, these recipes are just the basis for all the work that follows after. Maybe we start with a hypothesis. Maybe we stumble upon something accidentally, like, penicillin. Or how a scientist with a chocolate bar in his pocket discovered the microwave. Everything after that is no longer accidental. We plan, we're systematic, and in the end, we welcome the idea that we still have to ask questions because the world will be changing, and by tomorrow, we'll have new work once again. It's in the journey, not in the destination. It's in the methods and the systematic way of thinking, not in the conclusion. When I say systematic, this means that every step that we take always has to proceed logically from the step before it. We have to check every step of the way if what we are doing is correct. How do we do that? Sometimes we consult other scientists. Most of the time, we read what is called the literature. These can be journal articles, these can be textbooks. We always verify before we move forward. In everyday life, you might recognize this kind of methodology. Maybe you find news online that you're not sure about. Are you going to tell someone about it immediately? Are you going to share it? Or are you going to check it first? Good scientific habit would tell you, check that fact first, read online, look for other sources, and when you verify those sources of information, make sure that those sources are truthful and trustworthy. And when you verified completely, then and only then can you share it with somebody else. And being systematic means being logical, and that can be called being scientific. You don't have to be in a lab, but you have to think in terms of step by step. When you were growing up, you might have asked lots of questions. Why is the sky blue? Why is the grass green? It's a natural curiosity that everybody has as a child. It seems to be built into our DNA. The need to find out more and ask questions and discover, to look for answers. But in science, we don't know all the answers all the time. What was letter A yesterday might be letter B today. You won't get your answer immediately. The answer didn't come overnight. It came over a long period of time. When I finally realized that science is all around me. It's not just inside the laboratory when I set up an experiment. And it's not just in my journal articles that I have to write or the conferences that I have to attend. Be prepared for a life full of adventures and questions. Keep your curiosity. Ask questions and don't be afraid to question people. Don't be afraid to question facts. Always double-check everything. Be prepared to be critiqued, to be asked questions of, to be debated with. Because as the world changes, so does knowledge grow, and you can be part of that journey. Pinays can STEM.
Patuloy na humaharap ang bansa sa mga hamong dala ng COVID-19 pandemic. Kaakibat nito ang iba pang mga issue at suliraning nakakaapekto sa lahat ng kasarian, lalong-lalo na sa mga kababaihan. At bilang paghahanda sa nalalapit na pambansang halalan ng taong 2022, nararapat lang na marinig ng mga nagnanais na manilbihan bilang mga pinuno ng bansa ang pulso ng mamamayan, partikular na ng mga kababaihan. Sa pangunguna ng Philippine Commission on Women at bilang bahagi ng selebrasyon ng National Women's Month ngayong taong 2022, inilulunsad ang Pulso para sa Kababaihan tungo sa Kaunlaran Online Poll. Ang online poll na ito ay bukas para sa lahat, anuman ang iyong katayuan sa buhay, gender, sexual orientation o paniniwala. Ang poll na ito ay isang platform upang ipabatid ng mga Juan at Juana sa mga mahahalal na lider ang tungkol sa mga isyong nararapat nilang bigyang pansin at prioridad sa kanilang pamumuno upang masigurado ang pagkakapantay-pantay ng kasarian at patuloy na maisulong ang proteksyon ng mga karapatan ng mga kababaihan. Ito ay nagbibigay ng pagkakataon upang makapamili sa aling mga gender-related issues na nakapaloob sa Updated Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Plan 2019 to 2025 ang nais ng publiko na mapabilang sa mga planong pangkaunlaran ng pamahalaan. Paano sumali sa poll na to? Simple lang. Maaari puntahan ang link na makikita sa inyong screen. Pwede rin itong ma-access sa pamamagitan ng QR code na nasa inyong screen. I-scan lang ito gamit ang QR scanner ng inyong mga smartphone. Pagpasok sa webpage ay ibigay ang mga kinakailangang impormasyon tulad ng kasarian, kasalukuyang tirahan at kinabibilangang edad o age group. Itatanong din dito kung saang sektor ka ng lipunan napapabilang o saang partikular na grupo kayo kasama. Ibahagi rin kung saan mo nalaman ang tungkol sa poll na ito. Tandaan lang na ang anumang personal na impormasyon na mga lalahok sa poll ay hindi magiging bahagi ng report. Tanging mga kasagutan lang sa mga relevant entries ng poll ang ipoproseso ng Philippine Commission on Women para makabuo ng ulat ayon sa sektor at geographic areas. Nilalaman ng poll ang mahahalagang puntos patungkol sa mga pangunahing agenda ni Juana sa iba't ibang aspeto, gaya ng oportunidad pangkabuhayan para sa kababaihan sa kalakalan, industriya at serbisyo, agrikultura, forestry o palagubatan, at pangisdaan, lakas paggawa at empleyo, pagpapataas ng human capital development sa pamamagitan ng pamumuhunan sa gender equality and women's empowerment sa sektor ng kalusugan at nutrisyon, edukasyon at pabahay, pagpapababa ng mga kaso ng gender-based violence at pinagtibay na gender perspective sa hustisya, seguridad at kapayapaan. Kasama rin ang partisipasyon, pamunuan at kapakinabangan ng mga kababaihan sa disaster risk reduction and management. Nais din ng Paul na alamin ang partisipasyon, pamunuan at kapakinabangan ng kababaihan sa agham, teknolohiya, innovation at ICT, infrastruktura at enerhiya. Mayroon ding patungkol sa partisipasyon, pamunuan at kapakinabangan ng kababaihan sa politika at serbisyo sa pamahalaan. At ang pagpapabago ng anyo ng panlipunang pamantayan at kultura na nagtataguyod ng gender equality at women's empowerment. Kaya kung may nais kang isulong para ganap nating makamtan ang pagkakaroon ng mas higit na partisipasyon sa pagdedesisyon, mas mahusay na pagpaplano ng pamahalaan, higit na mas malawak na kapakinabangan sa ating pag-unlad, pantay na oportunidad at karapatan para sa lahat, at proteksyon sa anumang kalamidad, abuso, diskriminasyon o pananamantala. Makiisa na sa ating pulso para sa kababaihan tungo sa kaunlaran online poll. Sa bawat kategorya, mamili ng isang issue na sa iyong palagay ay kailangan ng agarang matugunan ng pamahalaan. Para sa mga nais lumahok, i-access ito sa pamamagitan ng link o QR code na makikita sa inyong screen. I-scan lang ito gamit ang QR scanner ng inyong smartphone. Bukas ang poll na ito mula March 8 hanggang March 25, 2022. Abangan ang resulta nito sa March 31, 2022. Kaya't makiisa sa pagsusulong ng pulso para sa kababaihan.
Paano pang ilabas ka sa apat na sulok ng kahirapan? Alisin ang takip na humahadlang upang maabot ang karangyaan. Iahon sa sisidang pananaw, tradisyonal na batas sa kinalimutan. Ditulak ang dingding ng diskriminasyon sa ginagalawang lipunan. Sa lakas ng takot, tinig ng kababaihan. Tanong na madahalaga niyang di matatawarin. Sa lakas ng takot, may mga sigabong pagdiriwang sa pakinabang na tulad ng ang kanyang pakayanan. May paraan na pambigyan ka ng tamang paglingap sa kalusugan. Ang kini ng pagunlad na dulot ang edukasyon, di nalilimitaha. Tumakbang palabas sa parisukat na naggustulang kulungan. Patunayan kaya makipagsabayan sa mga pinunong kalalakihan. Sa lakas ng takot, tinig ng kababaihan. Tanong na madahalaga niyang di matatawarin. Sa lakas ng takot, may mga sigabong pagdiriwang sa pakinabang na dulot ng ang kanyang pakayanan. Panahon ng kahon ng media ay pawalang panantuluyan. Ipakita ko ano ang tunay na taglay mong kagandahan. Panahon ng palayain ka sa kahon ng mga batas pang kalikasan. At sa alang-alang din ang iyong pangailangan at kapakanan. Sa lapas ng kahon, dinig ng kababaihan. Tanong na madahalaga niyang di matatawaran. Sa lapas ng kahon, may mga sigabong pagdiriwang sa pakinabang na tulad ng angkin niyang kakayanan. Panahon ng itaguyod ang karapatan laban sa karahasan. Sa madilim na kahon, lumay sa pang-aabuso at pagkagipis sa digmaan. Maging mga munting kababaihan sa mundo'y sumisibo pa lamang. Huwag sa kahon arugain, kundi sa bisig at pag-ibig na magulang. Sa lapas ng kahon, dinig ng kababaihan. Tanong na madahalaga niyang di matatawaran. Sa lapas ng kahon, may mga sigabong pagdiriwang sa pakinabang na tulad ng angkin niyang
Naniniwala ako na dapat may boses din ang mga kababaihan sa mga nilikha at pinapasang batas para sa bayanan natin.
Karapatan mo bilang isang batang babae.
Makapaglaro, makapag-aral, magkaroon po ng magandang bukas.
Sa lapas ng kahon, may mga sigabong pagdiriwang sa pakinabang na dulot ng angkin niyang kakayanan.
Komplikado man ay laging positibo. Natanaw ang makabuluhang pagbabago. Masuko ang karahasan at pang-aabuso. Malipol ang armadong tunggalian. Tumayo, sumigaw, ikalat ang balita. Pantay-pantay lahat, walang pinagkaiba. Nararapat na ipaglaban ng tama. Ang susi ay nasa atin, kababaihan. Ligtas na espasyo para sa batang babae. Tamang pagsasanay at edukasyon ay kamitin. Kalusugan at kagalingan ay di may sandabi. Pangangalaga ng kalikas ay ating layunin. Pagtibayin ng dignidad at karapatang pantao. Malayang pagdedesisyon at kapangyarihan. Tumayo, sumigaw, ikalat ang balita. Pantay-pantay lahat, walang pinagkaiba. Nararapat na ipaglaban ng tama. Ang susi ay nasa atin, kababaihan. Pagtataguyod sa pampinansyal na katayuan, ekonomiya at kabuhayan. Mga mekanismong pang-institusyon para sa pagsulong ng kababaihan. Sa media ay ang tamang pagsasalarawan. Tumayo, sumigaw, ikalat ang balita, pantay-pantay lahat, walang pinagkaiba. Nararapat na ipaglaban ng tama, ang susi ay nasa atin. Kababaihan, kababaihan. Kamangha-mangha talaga, huwala. Ang kahirapan, kaya mong labanan. Ang iyong karapatan, hindi mo bibitawan. Ang karahasan, di mo papayagan. Ang iyong kaalaman ay sadya mong yaman. Sa dilim mo papansin ang iyong taglay na liwanag. Kumikinang umaapaw sa kagandahan. Sa tibay mo't husay, talisay kang tunay. Mahalaga ka talaga sa ating bayan. Kamangha-mangha talaga, huwala. Di ka kukupas dahil ikaw ay ginto. Ginto. Ikaw ay ginto. Kapaligiran sa'yo'y mahalaga. Bigay mo ka na sakit na walang katapusan. Kalusugan mo't prinsipyo ay mahalaga. Lahat tayo'y pantay, hindi dapat na iba. Ang iyong kalaman di babahagi sa karamihan. Hinding-hindi ka panghihinaan. Kahit ang mga batang kababaihan, may taglading kamangha-mangha. Kamangha-mangha talaga, huwala. Di ka kukupas dahil ikaw ay ginto. Ginto. Ikaw ay ginto. Kaya mong itaguyod ang karapatang pantao. Kung kaya nila, kaya mo rin ito. Kaya't wag mong kalimutan, ikaw ay ginto.
Dapat kabigyan ng halaga lahat ng tayo nagmula sa'yo sinapupunan. Hindi ka may karapatang magdesisyon. Ang bagno sa ekonomiya ay hindi naiba. Hindi naiba sa aming kalalakihan. Isigaw sa maglabayan ang iyong kakayahan. Sa kaunlaran na kayang iyong maiambag, ikay dito dapat bigyan ng
Sa
karangalan.
tibay mo't husay, talisay kang tunay. May taglading kamangha-mangha. Kamangha-mangha talaga, huwala. Di ka kukupas dahil ikaw ay kamangha-mangha talaga, huwala. Di ka kukupas dahil ikaw ay ginto. Ginto. Ikaw ay ginto. 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 Ikaw ay ginto. Ikaw ay ginto. Babae ako at may silbi sa lipunan di pa aapi. Isinusulong ko mga layunin, karapatan sa mga usapin. Sa edukasyon, at pagsasanay, sa kahirap ang kalusugang taglay. Pakikipaglaban sa karahasan, pati sa matungtong galian. Babae akong may panindigan, di matitinag kailan pa man. Babae ako na may karapatan, may boses, may kakayahan. Malakas ang loob, pusong totoo, kayang-kaya ko, sinuan ako. Sa buong bansa at buong mundo'y pagsigawan. Si edukasyon para sa karamihan. Mekanismong dulot ay pagunlad sa kababaihang ipatutupad. Sa usaping ekonomiya, karapat-dapat ng media. Sa kabataan, kalikasan, pagsangang buong sambayanan. Babay akong may panindigan, di matitinag kailan pa man. Babay ako na may karapatan, may boses, may kakayahan. Malakas ang loob, pusong totoo, kayang-kaya ko, siwana ako. Sa buong bansa at buong mundo'y pagsigawan, siwana ako. Ako si Juana, babaeng palaban ng hamon ng buhay dito susukuan. Buong may kapal sa'yo'y nananali, handang harapin anuman ang palaki. Ako si Juana, babaeng palaban ng hamon ng buhay dito susukuan. Juana ko, si Juana ko. May panindigan, di matitinag kailan pa man. Babae ako na may karapatan, may boses, may kakayahan. Malakas ang loob, pusong totoo, kayang-kaya ko, si Juana ko. Sa buong bansa at buong mundo'y pagsigawan, babay ako. Babay ako na may karapatan, may boses, may kakayahan. Malakas ang loob, pusong totoo, kayang-kaya ko, si Juana ko. Sa buong bansa at buong mundo'y pagsigawan, si Juana ako. 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 Babay ako.
Pas ng kapal, tinig ng kababaihan. Tanong na madahalaga niyang di matatawaran. Sa pas ng kapal, may mga sigabong pagdiriwang sa pakinabang na tulad ng ang kanyang kakayanan. May paraan upang bigyan ka ng tamang paglingap sa kalusugan. Ang kininapagunlad na dulot ang edukasyong di nalilimitaha. Humakbang palabas sa parisukat na naggustulang kulungan. Patunayan kaya makipagsabayan sa mga pinunong kalalakihan. Sa lapas ng kapal, tinig ng kababaihan. Tanong na madahalaga niyang di matatawaran. Sa lapas ng kapal, may mga sigabong pagdiriwang sa pakinabang na dulot ng ang kanyang kakayanan. Panahon ng kahonang media ay pawalang ka ng tuluyan. Ipakita ko ano ang tunay na taglay mong kagandahan. Panahon ng palayain ka sa kahon ng mga batas pang kalikasan. At isaalang-alang din ang inyong pangailangan at kapakanan. Sa lapas ng kapal, tinig ng kababaihan. Tanong na madahalaga niyang di matatawaran. Sa lapas ng kapal, may mga sigabong pagdiriwang sa pakinabang na tulad ng ang kanyang kakayanan. Panahon ng itaguyod ang karapatan laban sa karahasan. Sa madilim na kahon, lumay sa pang-aabuso at pagkakipis sa digmaan. Maging mga munting kababaihan sa mundo'y sumisibol pa lamang. Huwag sa kahon arugain, kundi sa bisig at pag-ibig ng magulang. Sa lapas ng kapal, tinig ng kababaihan. Tanong na madahalaga niyang di matatawaran. Sa lapas ng kapal, may mga sigaw.
Good afternoon, magandang hapon. Stay hydrated po dahil sa napakainit na panahon. At ngayon po, please be mindful of these house rules during our online forum. Maging magalang sa ating mga komento at interaksyon sa online forum. Para sa ating game mamaya, siguraduhin na ninyong sundin ang instructions para kwalipikadong manalo. Kung may katanungan, maaari itong i-post sa comment section. Bigyan natin ng pagkakataon ng resource person sa sagutin ito sa open forum. Maaaring makuha ang kopya ng presentation materials ng mga speakers sa National Women's Month Celebration webpage sa www.pcw.gov.ph. We will issue a certificate of participation only to those who will submit or accomplish the following: attendance form and activity feedback form. Follow PCW's social media accounts at pcw.gov.ph sa Facebook at Twitter. At mag-subscribe and don't forget to click that bell button sa PCW YouTube channel. Share the live stream so we can reach more participants. Dahil dyan, share na po kayo at ilike nyo po ang aming page. Huwag na huwag kalilimutan na ibahagi ang live stream na to sa inyong mga kaibigan para po mas malawak ang ating mga marating ngayong hapon. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Napakainit ng panahon pero ina-expect namin magiging mainit din ang aming pagtanggap or ang inyong pagtanggap sa aming live stream. Welcome to We STEM Up, Juana para sa Agham at Teknolohiya, hatid sa inyo ng Philippine Commission on Women at Unilab Foundation Incorporated. I am Anjun Magnaye and excited to be your host this afternoon. Ngayong Marso, bukod sa ipinagdiriwang natin yung National Women's Month, syempre, Happy National Women's Month po sa lahat. Ginugunita rin natin ang Girl Child Week na isinusulong ang proteksyon at pantay na karapatan ng mga batang babae. Kasama na riyan ang sapat na oportunidad at partisipasyon pagdating sa science, technology, engineering at mathematics o STEM. And that is our focus for today. We will highlight the value of engaging Juanas in these fields in their aim to contribute to nation building as we launch the Pinay Can STEM Digital Toolkit. At yan, bago tayo tumuloy doon, silipin muna natin asan ba yung ating mga viewers for today. Yan, nakikita natin, kaya marami na rin nag-review sa atin. Kaya naman, tuloy lang po kayo sa pag-like, pag-share nitong live stream po natin ngayong hapon dahil for sure marami po kaming mayahati na impormasyon sa inyo. But before we dig deeper into our conversation, let's formally begin the session with God Advocate's prayer to be followed by the singing of the national anthem.
Noon pa man, malaki na ang naging bahagi ng mga kababaihan sa lipunang Pilipino. Kaisa sila sa marubdob na paghahangad ng kalayaan ng ating lahi. Kabilang sila sa paglinang ng ating makulay na sining at mayamang kultura. Kasapi sila sa pagtataguyod ng mga adhikain ng kapwa mamamayan at sa pagtugon sa mga pangangailangan ng lipunan. Katuwang sila sa pagtuklas sa mga larangan ng agham at medisina. Kapanalig sila sa pagpapairal ng batas, karapatan at katarungan para sa lahat. Kabahagi sila sa paglilingkod sa bayan at sa pagpapanatili ng demokrasyang Pilipino. Sa paglipas ng panahon, hindi nagmaliw ang kanilang pag-ibig sa ating inang bayan. Mga kababayan, ito ang alay ng mga kababaihang Pilipino para sa bayan. Tumayo po tayong lahat at sabay-sabay nating awitin ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang mag-ibig, pero sa silangan, alam ng puso, sa bibig mo'y buhay. Lupang hiniram, dulot na ng mag-ibig, sa manlulupin, di ka pagsisingin, sa lahat ng tulog, sa silangan, sa lamin mong gabang, may ginagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang isa ng patawad mo'y talumpay na nagdiligin, tuwing nag-araw na kailan pa may madilim. Lupa ng araw ng walhati pagsika, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang ligaya ng pagpay makahangin, ang mamatay ng nais sa'yo.
Again, we welcome you to We STEM Up, Juana para sa agham at teknolohiya, hatid sa inyo ng Philippine Commission on Women at Unilab Foundation Incorporated. Magandang hapon pong muli doon sa mga kabubukas pa lang ng kanilang live stream. Huwag niyo po kalimutan na ibahagi ito doon sa mga nakaka-reach sa inyo, lalo na dito sa aming internet. And I'm sure you're all excited for this session, especially to our youth audiences here, yung mga kabataan po natin na nanonood ngayon. To set our agenda today and welcome you all, we have the chairperson of the Philippine Commission on Women, our chairperson, Sandra Sanchez Montano. Ma'am, good afternoon po. You now have the floor.
Of gender equality and women's empowerment. First, I would like to recognize our guests and resource persons today. The LG Undersecretary for Mindanao Affairs and Special Concern, Yusek Marjorie Halos-Hos, PCW Executive Director, Attorney Christine Newson Chavez, Unilab Foundation Executive Director, Ms. Lilibeth Aristorenas, Professor Chona Vince Cruz Abiledo, UP College of Medicine, Dean Dr. Charlotte Chong, and Ms. Diane Aguas of Unilab Foundation's STEM Plus PH. As we continue to observe the National Women's Month celebration, the Philippine Commission on Women encourages everyone to honor all Juanas and recognize their valuable contributions in the society. It is the time to highlight Juanas who are breaking the glass ceiling, Juanas who work for and take care of their families, Juanas who serve in the frontliners, Juanas who are catalyzing changes in the field, and Juanas who help build the nation in their own way. But the National Women's Month is also a platform and a call to action, a call to strengthen efforts towards gender equality and women's empowerment. While we work to these twin goals go beyond the month of March, this celebration is an opportunity to make our advocacy ring louder. It's time to discuss what remains to be done to elevate the lives of Juanas in our journey towards inclusive and sustainable development. One of our goals is to highlight the representation and participation of women and girls in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM. We must tap the potential of Juanas in these fields and encourage them to reach for their dreams by ensuring a gender-responsive STEM path. Moreover, we must endeavor to make Juanas sufficiently benefit from advances in STEM so their lives will improve with creative, practical, and science-driven innovations. In line with this, the Philippine Commission on Women aims to support our partner, the Unilab Foundation Incorporated, in launching the Pinay Scan STEAM Toolkit today. In this session, they will be discussing the objectives and content of this digital toolkit, which contains resources to inspire young Pinays interested in STEM. We hope that through this digital toolkit, Juanes will be motivated to venture into STEM and explore its wonders and opportunities. Our distinguished resource persons today will also share inspiring stories of Juanes in STEM, roles of women in STEM in the society, bridging the gender gap in STEM, and advancing gender equality in these fields. This is also very timely as we celebrate the Girl Child Week, pursuant to Proclamation Number 759, anchored on the theme, Batang Babae, kasama't katuwang ng pagbabago sa komunidad. PCW and Unilab Foundation aim to underscore what enabled and empowered young Juanes in STEM can do to catalyze changes in the community. On behalf of the Philippine Commission on Women, I officially welcome you all to this exciting and insightful session. To young Juanes here, we hope this will make you believe that we can STEM up. Happy National Women's Month. Happy Girl Child Week. Maraming salamat at mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Maraming salamat po sa inyong mensahe, Chair Sandy Montano. Yan po ang aming chairperson sa Philippine Commission on Women. At totoo yun, it reminds me of the song back then when I was a child. There's a song called Tuklasin Natin ng Siyensya, Matematika. Dahil sigurado, kinabukasan ng bayan ay siguradong makakamtan. Kaya naman, doon sa excited ako sa hapon na ito at naway, lalo na yung mga natin, yung mga nanonood sa atin sa FB stream. Sana po, hikayatin din po ninyo yung iba pa ninyong mga kabataan, kababaihan dyan na panoorin po ito dahil for sure ngayong hapon marami kayong matututunan sa amin. Ngayon naman, sigurado kami na may inspire kayo sa ating panauhing tagapagsalita. Kung naghahanap kayo ng sign, kung susuungin nga ba ninyo itong science, itong STEM na tinatawag natin, itong science, technology, engineering and mathematics, marahil siya na yon. Ito na yung sign. To deliver a special message and share her STEM journey, it's our honor to have Dr. Chona Camille Vince Cruz Abeledo. Dr. Chona Camille Vince Cruz Abeledo is a faculty of Department of Biology and leads the Molecular Ecology and Technology Research Team at the De La Salle University. They help in developing innovations for natural resource management at the nexus of molecular biology, genetics, ecology, big data, machine learning, and information technology. She is also the creator of the science blog Scientia, fueled by her advocacy in the improvement of communications between scientific community and other sectors in the society. A recipient of 2021 Outstanding Asian Science Diplomat Award and honored as one of the 2021 Southeast Asian Women Science Leaders, she has a diversified background in research, rooted in a Bachelor of Science degree in Molecular Biology and Biotechnology from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, which is complemented by a Master of Environment and Natural Resources Management degree from the UP Open University. Her dissertation work on the molecular morphological characteristics of Scylla species in the Philippines celebrates the synergy between genetics and ecology as she completed it from the De La Salle University with Fulbright dissertation grant to the University of Washington in Seattle. Invitations from this dissertation won her the DOST Pierce 2015 Outstanding Research and Development Award for Emerging Technologies. Right now, she is actively engaged in science and citizen science projects on impacts of climate change in the conditions of coastal community and assessment of plastic pollution in different ecosystems. Talaga naman bukod sa siyensya, makakalikasan rin. Let's all welcome Dr. Chona Camille Vince Cruz Abeledo. The screen is yours, ma'am. Magandang hapon po.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat, Anjun, for that very generous introduction.
Thank you po.
Thank you. At this point, parang ako ba talaga yung ini-introduce ni Anjun? Nakakataba po ng puso.
Maraming salamat po. Pero ito po ay oras na ninyo. Kaya ma'am, you now have the floor.
Thank you so much, Anjun. Good afternoon, everybody. One thing that I can recall from my recent activities with young students all over the Philippines is pag tinatanong ko sila or sinasabihan ko sila na mag-drawing nga kayo ng isang scientist, try to draw what a scientist looks like. Nagugulat ako na most of the times, the scientists that they try to draw would look like Albert Einstein or some male Caucasian cartoon character. Some of them would draw Iron Man or even si Elon Musk. Some millennials would draw Dexter, which is a cartoon that we loved growing up, and sometimes even Bill Nye. As a Pinay in STEM, these drawings can sometimes make me sad. Bakit hindi babae? Bakit hindi Pilipina ang dinodrawing nila? But again, it doesn't really surprise me considering that there is 30% less women and girls who are portrayed as scientists and engineers in popular media. 30% less in TV, in movies, in magazines, or even in fiction books. But I think the Unilab and Philippine Commission for Women project that we have now has the potential to try and solve this problem. Magandang hapon po ulit sa inyong lahat. Ako nga pala si Chona. My name is Chona. I'm a teacher for 14 years now in college sa De La Salle University. I'm a scientist and a lot of my work has been described earlier by Anjun. But as a scientist, our ultimate goal is to help fishers and farmers in the Philippines develop affordable and sustainable solutions to a lot of their production problems. And I'm also a YouTuber. I have a tiny channel called Scientia, where I try to share the amazing, magical things about science and biology to my audience. Dahil naniniwala po ako sa power ng social media at YouTube para maipakita sa ating kabataan kung gaano kaganda ang mundo ng siyensya. Andito po ako ngayon para magkwento. I'm here to tell you a story about how I became a scientist and the myths that I encountered along the way. The myths that I will be talking about now are just some of those that I've encountered, but in a way, they have the potential to be the most damaging. The first myth is that being girly is weak. When I was a young girl, nung bata pa po ako, I had two dreams. The first was to be an astronaut, and the second was to be a beauty queen. Pasensya na po. Gusto kong maging astronaut because I had a fascination with space. I wanted to be an explorer and go outside of the confines of planet Earth. But I also wanted to be a beauty queen because beauty queens are amazing. They're inspiring. They're confident. And it's like their confidence is enough for them to be able to command respect and admiration from people. Pero nung bata po ako, hindi niyo po maririnig na sasabihin kong gusto kong maging beauty queen. I don't like telling people about it because I was worried that people would judge me, that people won't take me seriously if they realize that me, someone who's training to be a scientist, also had these girlish dreams. But right now, with a lot of the movements that we're seeing in the world and a lot of the growth that I've experienced, na-realize ko, hindi ko dapat kinahiya ang pagiging girly ko. Being girly doesn't mean I'm weak. And I'm saying this now as a scientist who's been asked before na kaya ko daw bang lumusong sa putikan at manghuli ng alimango dahil mahilig akong magsuot ng pink, dahil mahilig akong magsuot ng dangling earrings, at dahil mahilig akong mag-makeup. Siyempre naman po, pag lulusong ako sa putikan, tama ang aking suot para maprotektahan ang aking katawan. Pero opo, libo-libong alimango na po ang aking nahuli at daan-daang putikan na po ang aking nalusong. At hindi po na nabawasan ang pagiging babae ko. A woman can be feminine, a woman can be boyish, a woman can be tough and soft all at the same time. And one thing that we must always remember is that a woman's manifestation of self, mahinhin o matigas, palaban o tahimik, hindi tayo dapat dekahon dahil ang babae ay kayang maging kahit ano. At higit pa sa lahat, our strength goes beyond our physical appearances. Now from there, another myth that I've encountered as a scientist is that kailangan lumabas muna ako sa Pilipinas para maging isang karespe-respeto at magaling na scientifico. Do I need to go outside of the Philippines and study abroad in order to be a good scientist or a respected scientist? Now, studying abroad and studying locally both have their strengths. If meron kang opportunity, if you have the opportunity to study abroad, it would expose you to other cultures and you would grow from this exposure to other cultures. You will also get to learn about alternative techniques in the laboratory or in the field. And this is exciting because you will now have the wisdom and the knowledge to bring that home. And also for our young scientists, going overseas is also your path to independence. Walang mommy, daddy, tita, lolo, or lola na maglalaban ng damit mo, magluluto ng pagkain mo, ikaw lahat ang gagawa. But studying locally, being a homegrown talent, has its beauty also. When you study here in the Philippines, you will get a deeper knowledge of local problems. Araw-araw kang gigising sa kanila. And the more exposed you are to them, the more appreciation you would have sa mga tao, with the people who are bearing these problems and trying to solve them on their own. You will also get an early awareness of local processes, paano mag-submit ng research proposal sa DOST, paano magbigay ng talk sa isang local event, how to communicate with the right people and talk to the correct government or local agency. Lahat yan matututunan mo if you study here in the Philippines. And because of this, because of your awareness of local processes, studying locally would also give you an advantage because it would be easier for you to integrate with local systems. Alam mo ang problema, alam mo ang proseso, madaling makahanap ng lugar. It would be easier for you to figure out the best way for you to make a difference as a scientist. So at the end of the day, do you have to go abroad in order to be a good scientist? It would help, but it's not a requirement. Because in order to be a good scientist, you just have to be committed to it. You have to be passionate about your journey, and you basically just have to do you. Now, I was blessed enough to have done both. I've studied abroad for a short period of time through a Fulbright grant. And I was also able to study locally for a huge portion of my PhD. And so I was able to take advantage of both worlds. But a lot of people would always ask me, Doc, bakit ka bumalik? And some of those questions were actually even a little painful because some of them would insinuate that maybe I wasn't good enough to be a scientist overseas, kaya ako umuwi. Well, I would love to use this platform to say that I went home because there is no better place for me to be a Filipino scientist but in the Philippines. My intimate awareness of the problems of the aquaculture industry because of having grown up in Bataan gives me a great advantage to help figure out these same fishers, to help figure out how to help them and how to use the technologies I've made to help them. My natural command of local languages in the Philippines, ang aking pagtatagalog, ay makakatulong upang maitawid, maibridge ang gap between the scientific community and the Filipino people. And so I chose to be a scientist in the Philippines. Pinili ko ang Pilipinas dahil as a biologist, the Philippines is the center of marine biodiversity. We have the greatest number of species of organisms living in our waters. And that is such an amazing gift that we can take advantage of and learn from. We are a climate change hotspot. At dahil tayo ang pinaka naaapektuhan ng climate change, tayo rin ang may pinakamalaking responsibilidad para makahanap ng paraan para matulungan ang kapwa natin Pilipino. How do we help our fellow Filipinos deal with the changing climate? And at the end of it, we still need at least 19,000 more scientists in order to catch up with the development of the ASEAN region and the rest of the world. And so we need more scientists, and thus one person going away will still have a huge impact, and having more coming back would even create a bigger ripple, even a tsunami of positive change. And so we go to the final myth, because I only have a short time with you this afternoon. Do I have to be a genius in STEM? Napakarami ko ng estudyante na nagsasabi sa akin, Doc, parang hindi ko po kaya maging scientist. Hindi po ako ganun katalino. Hindi po ako magaling sa math. Nahihirapan po ako sa science. I'm not very surprised with those statements, mostly because when you hear about scientists in the news or in social media, they are front covers of Time magazine at 15 years old. They're Nobel Prize winners or outstanding young scientist winners. Paano ka nga ba mangangarap maging scientist kung paggawa pa lang ng lab report at homework, medyo nagsastruggle ka na? But if I'm going to be completely honest with you, lahat ng kinuwento ni Anjun kanina na achievement, yes, I'm proud of those things. But I'm also prouder for the fact that I survived almost failing math in college. In UP, the passing grade is 3 and I got a 275 and I almost lost my scholarship because of that. Tumuloy pa din ako. During my master's, I had to shift from a master's in MBB to environmental science because I lost my passion somewhere along the way. I was depressed, I was confused. Tumuloy pa din ako. And as a PhD student, for 3 months, hindi ko mapaandar yung experiments na kailangan naming magawa. And I almost quit my job. But I didn't. Tumuloy pa din ako. Because at the end of the day, you don't have to be a genius to be a scientist. To be a scientist, you have to be curious about the world. Bakit ganito? How does this experiment work? How does this living thing react to climate change? How do we grow better food for the next generation? Having those questions in your mind and being curious about the answers will make you a good scientist. You also have to be committed to uncovering the truth. Kahit mahirap, kahit paulit-ulit, basta gusto mong malaman ang totoong sagot. Kung kaya mong maging matyaga, ikaw ay isang magiging kapaki-pakinabang na siyentipiko. You will be a very good scientist as long as you are resilient enough to pursue truth. And finally, we make mistakes. But what makes us good scientists is the fact that we can learn from these mistakes. We are better than our mistakes because we are capable of growth. Because at the end of the day, science is not perfect. Science is not truth. Science is the search for truth. And we are always limited by the technology, the funding, whatever limitations that we have. And so most of the times, we only get a fraction of the truth. And with new discoveries, we see more and more. And that's why science changes all the time. And now, bilang isang Pinay na scientist, bilang isang Pinay in STEM, ang pangarap ko ay balang araw, when I ask young students, when I ask children to draw what a scientist looks like, sana babae ang i-drawing nila. I hope I see women scientists in their drawings. And sana Filipina. And sana ang i-drawing nila, sarili nila. And I really do believe that the Pinay's Can STEM Toolkit would help that. So maraming salamat po. Thank you very much for having me in this afternoon celebration. I am so honored to share this afternoon with you. Thank you very much.
Yun guys, ano? Very touching. Siyempre, Purple Heart naman dyan sa mga kababayan natin na nasa ating live stream, di ba? Napaka-inspiring nung ibinigay na words ni Ma'am sa atin ngayong araw, di ba? At ipinakita lang niya na maraming pwedeng marating sa siyensya. At hindi ba sa pagdiskubre natin ng ang siyensya ay isang proseso ng pagdiskubre ng katotohanan. At bukod doon, syempre, ito nga ang, di ba, we need to bust those myths na kailangan mo maging genius para maging matalino. All you need to do is to have curiosity, commitment to uncovering the truth, and learning from your mistakes, di ba? Napaka-inspiring nun. And yun nga, no, kailangan, lalo na sa mga kababaihang nakikinig sa atin dyan ngayon, yung mga estudyanteng nagpaplanong kumuha ng mga kursong related sa science, mathematics, technology, or engineering, yan po. Hindi po katapusan ng mundo na tayo ay mag-fail sa isang subject or maaaring medyo nakikita natin nag-fail yung experiment natin. We need to keep on moving forward, and yun nga, we need to keep ourselves up. Lumabas tayo from our boxes, lumabas tayo sa ating mga kahon. Yon, maraming salamat po sa inyong ibinahagi sa amin. Nakaka-inspire ang hapon na to. Thank you very much, Dr. Chona Camille Vince Cruz Abeledo. Maraming salamat po at malaki pong pribilehiyo na marinig namin ang inyong mga ibinahaging experience ngayong hapon. Purple Heart naman dyan sa mga viewers natin. Yan, bumabaha tayo ng love, ngayon, no? Ng love sign, yan. Ang daming purple sign at maraming nakaka-appreciate sa story nito. Ma'am, maraming salamat po. Again, it's our privilege to have Dr. Chona Camille Vince Cruz Abeledo. Later, ma'am, makakasama pa namin kayo sa aming open forum. Kaya naman, if you have questions for our speakers, drop them in the comment section and we'll see if we can answer those questions on our open forum later. Kaya, ayun, yan, sa mga manonood sa ating estudyante dyan, 'di ba? Pagkakataon niyo na 'to, itanong niyo na mga gusto niyo itanong kung ano nga ba yung sikreto para doon na syempre makakamit tayo dito sa kursong ito. So now that we are all fired up after that empowering message, let's bring the discussion one notch higher. Yan. Alamin natin paano nga ba natin maisusulong ang gender equality sa system at gaano nga ba kahalaga ang mga wana sa sektor na ito, gaya nung na-discuss na kanina. Our speaker for this session, leads the Unilab Foundation in paving the way for healthier, future-ready, and more inclusive Philippines through its innovative and impact-driven programs focused on addressing gaps in health, education, and opportunity. At present, she is the board member of Center for Integrated STEM Education or SYSTEM, Project Inclusion Network, Inclusion Initiative Incorporated, and former trustee of League of Corporate Foundation. Before joining the foundation in 2017, Ms. Aristorenas established the Teachers Gallery and Inclusion Initiative in the Philippines, both founded on her advocacy for inclusive education. As we speak about it, she also worked closely with UNICEF and the Asia Foundation in carrying out educational programs for marginalized sectors of society, such as persons with disability and young people for economically disadvantaged backgrounds. She has graduate degrees in business administration from the University of the Philippines and human services from University of Massachusetts. Previously, she received the Book Award for Outstanding Academic Performance and also the Boston College Award for Outstanding Community Service, both from University of Massachusetts. Yan. Siyempre, patatagalin pa ba natin to? Bigyan na natin ng masigabong palakpakan, a virtual round of applause for our next speaker, the Executive Director of Unilab Foundation Incorporated, Ms. Lilibet C. Aristorenas. Ms. Beth, magandang hapon po. Welcome po sa programa.
Yes, magandang hapon din, Andrew. Alam mo, sana wish ko, nung pinapakilala mo ko, sana scientist din ako, no? Kagaya ni Dr. Chona. Kaso ang problema, Andrew, oo nga, di ba? Kaso ang problema, wala pang Philippine Commission for Women nung panahon ko. Wala ng Unilab Foundation noon. And especially, wala pang Pinay Scan STEM Toolkit na i-introduce natin mamaya.
Yes, kaya naman makinig po kayo at patuloy lang po ninyong i-share ang aming live stream sa ngayon. So ma'am, you now have the floor and thank you very much po. See you later.
Okay, thank you again. Magandang hapon sa inyo pong lahat. And of course, Happy Women's Month. No? So for the past 6 years, the recurring theme of the Women Month celebration is We Make Change Work for Women. This year's sub-theme is Agenda ng Kababaihan tungo sa kaunlaran. At Unila Foundation po, women's progress is non-negotiable. We believe that women's participation, involvement, and inclusion, especially in STEM careers and education, would result not only in their individual progress, but the progress of their respective communities at kaunlaran ng ating inang bayan. Narinig po natin yan kay Dr. Chona kanina. But we are really honored to be a partner of the Philippine Commission for Women under the leadership of Chairperson Sandra Sanchez Pontano in this advocacy. No? And thank you also to Ms. Tess Gonzalez for introducing us to PCW. Okay, STEM. Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. It is a broad term used to group these academic disciplines. No? And STEM has grown to represent a unique approach to teaching and learning. Even in this diverse and universal field, women and girls remain underrepresented and disadvantaged. In 2019, the Women in STEM baseline study we conducted with the Philippine Business Coalition for Women Empowerment, Philippine Women's Economic Network, and UP Center for Women's Study Foundation revealed that there is a lack of gender-responsive policies in the workplace, and STEM remains to be a male-dominated, where women are behind in leadership positions and opportunities at work. Despite several laws that provide enabling mechanisms to women, they still struggle to have access to, gain control, and benefit from workplace resources, especially in positions of power and influence. A further study on the perceptions of the Filipino youth around STEM and the need to understand it, conducted in 2020 by Unila Foundation, revealed that although there is no significant difference between males and females having interest in STEM in early grade levels, females are more likely to drop off in choosing STEM careers. This can be attributed to the lack of confidence in their technology, engineering, or math skills, and the lack of awareness of STEM-related careers. A lot of resources and studies published online only affirms one thing, isa lang po ang mensahe. In the field of STEM, women are still considered a minority. Furthermore, in every aspect of a woman's development, a lot of obstacles hinder her from achieving her full potential in creating career in STEM. Number one, the lack of support towards women's capabilities. 2, the global digital divide. And 3, the existence of harmful gender stereotypes and biases stemming from traditional beliefs such as society's perception on family roles and on female and male careers. Unila Foundation believes that women are integral members of society and their productive roles are just as valuable as that of men's. Especially in STEM, women's contributions encompass not only in administrative work, but also in exacting changes in society through invention, innovation, and integration. That is why Unila Foundation prides itself on STEM plus PH, our centerpiece program in the foundation that aims at expanding the pool of STEM learners and innovators in the country. One of the initiatives under STEM plus PH is Pinay Can STEM, or PCS, an online community that aims to empower and encourage young Filipinas in STEM. Since 2020, PCS has been sharing informational content, inspiring STEM stories, and resources online to further motivate young girls in STEM. In 2021, Pinay Can STEM partnered with the Philippine Commission on Women to empower more young women into choosing STEM careers. Born from that partnership is the Pinay Can STEM Toolkit, a digital resource for every young girl interested in STEM. This afternoon, we are actually excited to announce the launch of Pinay Can STEM Toolkit, made for every young Pinay in STEM. The toolkit provides content and resources ranging from stories, tips, and other informational materials to inspire young Pinays interested in STEM. This toolkit is another step closer to gender equality and women's empowerment. We hope that through this resource, more women and girls would realize their place in science, technology, engineering, and math. And that it is not on the sidelines, but rather on the spotlight, that there are role models they can look up to, of course, Dr. Chona is there, and aspire to be, and that there is a community that is willing to support their dreams and aspirations to fulfill their maximum potential. More than everything, organizations and institutions such as the UNILA Foundation and the Philippine Commission for Women should come together to promote gender equality in STEM, because women in STEM play a big role in nation building. We now have the opportunity to work together and build a better world that fosters an environment for young girls to thrive, be successful, and be accepted in STEM. For them to feel welcome in any field they choose to be in. For them to live in a world where we won't need to label female or male, and in any career or profession. Let us start encouraging them to speak out, take space, and achieve results in STEM. May we have more women engineers, architects, scientists, and other STEM professionals. So, stand with us and advocate for an equal future for girls in STEM. Sama-sama po nating ibangon, itaguyod, suportahan ang mga huwana para sa agham, teknolohiya, inhinyero, at matematika. Once again, good afternoon to all of you. Over to you, Anjun.
Live talaga tayo. Yes, ma'am. Yan, finally. Maraming salamat po sa inyong ibinahagi sa amin. And yun nga, no, malaking bagay yung mga gantong advocacy effort na ginagawa po, both public and private partnership, para po mas mapalaki pa yung partisipasyon ng mga kababaihan, lalo na sa field ng STEM, kasi nga let's accept the fact, lalo na sa sektor na to ay medyo minority pa nga rin yung mga kababaihan. Kaya naman lalong itong malaki ang tulong nito, at naniniwala ako na itong Pinay STEM na ilo-launch natin mamaya ay makakatulong lalo na dun sa mga aspiring scientists natin or technologists natin, yung mga engineers at yung mathematicians na kunin itong field nito para naman masubukan nila, dahil encompassing itong STEM, hindi ba? Marami tayong problema sa bansang ito na malulutas sa pamamagitan ng STEM. Hindi po ba, ma'am?
Agree. Totally agree, Andrew.
Yes. Opo. And ma'am, maraming salamat po doon sa inyong ibinahabi. Maraming salamat po. Executive Director Lilibet Aristorenas ng Unilab Foundation Incorporated. Maraming salamat po at magandang hapon. Nako, excited na talaga kami para sa paglo-launch po ng Pinay Can STEM Toolkit. Maya-maya lamang po yan. Pero before we go to the launching of Pinay Can STEM Digital Toolkit, how about some Energizer? Yan, ang inaabangan ng lahat. Bukod doon sa ating Pinay Can STEM Digital Toolkit. Ano muna tayo, no? Magbanat-banat muna tayo ng buto ng ating isipan. Kung may buto man ang ating isip, magbanat-banat muna tayo ng ating mga brain cells for this afternoon. We call this game, Who's This STEM Lodi? So, sino nga ba itong mga Lodi na ibabahagi namin sa inyo ngayong hapon? Sasagutin po ang mga tanong na yan. Kaya naman di ko na patatagalin pa. Narito ang mechanics natin para sa game. Una, ipapakita namin ang bawat tanong sa screen. Pero, huwag po ma-excite bago po kayo sumagot. Hintayin munang lumabas ang marker sa ating Facebook page. Yan. To. Yan, yung nakikita ninyo dyan. Yan po yung itsura ng marker natin sa ating Facebook page para ma-count o masali ang inyong answer. Sasagot lamang po kayo pag nakita nyo na yung sign na yan. Okay? So, ganyan po yung itsura. The first one to post the correct answers below the marker will win. May nakatalaga po kaming team na magbabantay sa mga makakasagot at magbe-verify kung sino nga ba ang mapalad na nanalo. Kukuha rin po sila ng screenshot ng sagot ng winner as proof. Paalala, tanging mga comments lamang sa Facebook live stream. Hindi po sa Twitter o YouTube ang aming isasali kaya pasok na kayo dito sa aming live stream sa Facebook. Tandaan na isang beses lamang po pwede manalo ang isang participant sa session na ito. At para bigyan ng chance ang ating external stakeholders, hindi po qualified sumali ang mga kawani at opisyal ng PCW. Each winner will receive prizes from PCW and Unilab Foundation, pero maipapadala lamang po namin ito kung ang inyong mailing address ay nasa Pilipinas. I-announce po namin ang winners maya-maya bago matapos ang ating online forum. So, ready na ba kayo? Ready na ba kayo dyan? Yan, nakikita ko. Yan, comment kayo. Game na? Game na! So, here is our first question for the Who is Your STEM Lodi? Ang unang tanong, who is the Pinay behind the delicious banana ketchup? Nako, nagugutom ako. Tanghaling tapat, hindi pa ako nanananghalian. So, who is the Pinay behind the delicious banana ketchup? Ayan na. So, ito, sisimulan na natin yan. And now, you can now post your answers at the marker. Go! Lumabas na po ang aming marker, kaya naman po, sagutin na ang questions. Go, go, go! Nako, malinamnam yan. Masarap yan pag bagong prito yung fried chicken. Sa Europe ang tawag dyan, banana sauce. Pero dito sa atin, banana ketchup. Nako, napakasarap niya, lalo na sa nilutong pork chop. Minsan, inuulam din yan sa kanin, hindi ho ba? Talaga namang Pinoy na Pinoy ang version na yan ng ketchup. Sa atin ay banana ketchup. Nako, paborito ko yan nung bata ako. May nanalo na! May nanalo na! Sabi nga paborito nating tagline. Na, may nanalo na at ang nakasagot. At ang ano nga ba ang sagot? Yan. Ang sagot po ay si Maria Y. Orosa. Yes! Maria Y. Orosa was a food scientist, inventor, chemist, pharmacist, and a war hero din po. She was known for inventing the famous banana ketchup, a cheaper and sweeter alternative for Filipinos, as well as saving the lives of thousands of Filipinos and American soldiers through her food products. She is also known for inventing the calamansi juice powder, soyalac, oroval, and clarosa, and their preservation techniques of food like adobo, dinuguan, kilawin, at escabeche. So yan guys, kapag nakita niyo yung banana ketchup, Pinay po ang nasa likod niyan at isang wartime hero po. Kaya naman, bigyan natin ng pagpapahalaga ang ating mga bayani at siyentista na nagmula sa ating bansa. Si Maria Y. Orosa, ang kababaihang nasa likod ng banana ketchup. Second question na po tayo. Umiinit ang ating hapon kasing init ng temperatura sa labas. Second question. Yan, who was the first Filipino woman to be admitted to Harvard Medical School and was also the first female national scientist? Again, ulitin ko yung tanong. Who was the first Filipino woman to be admitted to Harvard Medical School and was also the first female national scientist? Let's now have our marker. Okay, posted na yung marker. And you can now answer this question. Go, 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 mga kababayan natin dyan, sa mga nanonood po sa Facebook page. Yan, malaking chance ninyo. Okay, yan. So, syempre, yan, we're just waiting for your questions. Alam nyo, malaking bagay din ito, dahil biruin nyo, sa kauna-unahang pagkakataon, siya naging dahilan kung bakit tumanggap ng kababaihan ng Harvard Medical School na siyang kauna-unahan po sa mundo. Okay, may nanalo na kagaya ng ating paboritong tagline. At ang sagot sa tanong na ito ay si Dr. Fe Del Mundo. Back then, Harvard did not accept women to enter the school and they didn't even know Fe was a woman. Okay? Due to her track record and out of this world grades, talagang out of this world, they accepted her anyway. 10 years after her admission, Harvard then started accepting women into the university. Fe was a Filipino pediatrician and also the founder of the first pediatric hospital in the Philippines. So yung hospital po dun sa Banawe, actually, siya po yung founder nun. And at the same time, attributed din sa kanya yung improvised incubator. Dahil kasi limitado po yan sa mga rural areas back then in the Philippines. Kaya naman, isang pagsaludo po kay Dr. Fe Del Mundo. Yan, ang ating national scientist din po. So, pangatlong tanong na. Banat-banat na po ng isip. Ito pa ang karagdagan tanong, number 3. Question number 3. Who is the STEM Lodi known for being the Filipina who proved Einstein right? Napatunayan niyang tama si Einstein after her work confirming his theory of relativity last 2010. Again, I shall repeat the question. Who is the STEM Lodi known for being the Filipina who proved Einstein right after her work confirming his theory of relativity last 2010? So let's wait for the marker to be posted. Posted? Okay, and go! You may now answer the question. Yes, yan po, no? Alam nyo, matagal lang pinagtatalunan nyo regarding dyan. High school pa lang ako. And may nakasagot na, may nanalo na. Okay, announce po namin yan. At ang sagot sa katanungang ito ay si Dr. Reina Reyes. Dr. Reina proved Einstein theory of general relativity, which describes the relationship between gravity, space, and time. She and her group analyzed data from 70,000 galaxies and found that they were clustered and grouped together across the universe exactly as Einstein theory had predicted. Napakagaling talaga ng Pilipinang scientist. Kaya naman, isang pagsaludo, Dr. Reina Reyes. At let's proceed to question number 4. Ika-4 na katanungan para ngayong mainit na hapon. Who is the famous Filipino chemist and national scientist who spent 5 decades of her life studying the chemistry of natural products and essential oils from the Philippine plants? Again, I repeat, who is the famous Filipino chemist and national scientist who spent 5 decades of her life studying the chemistry of natural products and essential oils from Philippine plants? We now have the markers ready. Is it posted? Okay, the marker is posted. You may now answer the question. Again, who is the famous Filipino chemist and national scientist who spent 5 decades of her life studying the chemistry of natural products and essential oils from the Philippine plants? Alam niyo po, isa ang Pilipinas sa natural biodiverse country sa mundo. Kasama po tayo 20 bansa yun na biodiverse countries on earth. At maraming fauna at mga halaman na matatagpuan na sa atin lang talaga tumutubo. At marami dito ay actually nakakagaling. Hindi ho ba? Marami pang undiscovered things tungkol sa ating mga fauna and plants. So ayan. Again, may announcement na, may nanalo na. At ito na, dahil may nanalo na, ito ang sagot. Si Dr. Luz Oliveros Velardo. Si Dr. Luz Oliveros Velardo spent 5 decades of her life studying the chemistry of natural products and essential oils from the Philippine plants. She has extracted 33 new Philippine essential oils and studied their chemical and physical properties. Results of her work found application in creation of new flavors and herbal medication. Kaya yung mga yung ilan doon sa mga nakikita natin ngayon na essential oils, magpasalamat po kayo kay Dr. Luz Oliveros Velardo. Yan, iba talaga ang scientific powers ng ating mga kababaihan dito sa bansa. Kaya naman, let's proceed to number 5 question, or final question for this afternoon. There. Who is the STEM Lodi who was named as one of Asia's rising scientists by AsianScientist.com in 2020 and is working on developing mathematical models so countries and industries like ours can make sound environmental decisions? Again, who is the STEM Lodi who was named as one of Asia's rising scientists by AsianScientist.com in 2020 and is working on developing mathematical models so countries and industries can make sound environmental decisions? Ready na po ba? Posted na po ba ang ating markers? Yes, and posted na? Okay, as we wait for our markers to be posted, Yan, posted na po. You may now answer the question. Go, go, go. Last question na yan. May nanalo na? Ang bilis talaga naman. May nanalo na agad. Hangang-hanga na talaga ako sa ating mga viewers at mga nanonood sa ating live stream. So, ito na. Ano ba ang sagot? Siya po, si Professor Kathleen Avizo. Yes, si Professor Kathleen Avizo also received the Outstanding Scientific Paper Award for the National Academy of Science and Technology of the Philippines. She became a finalist for the 2016 ASEAN-US Women's Science Prize as well. Part of her work is the development of the mathematical models to assist agencies and businesses in making sound environmental decisions. At the moment, Aviso is exploring energy systems that integrate renewable energy and conventional fossil fuels in order to meet energy demand with little environmental effect. Ako, napapanahon yan, lalo na ngayon. Napakamahal ng ating energy sources. Kaya naman sana magamit din ito ng ating mga decision makers. Kaya salamat po kay Prof. Kathleen Avizo para sa inyong patuloy na pag-aaral para masolusyonan ang ating energy needs. Maraming salamat po. At yan po ang ating Energizer. Nakalimang tanong po tayo at mamaya i-announce po namin ang mga winners. So as we move forward, I like it. We're now moving forward. Yes. As we move forward to the highlight of our event today, the presentation of Pinay Scan STEM Toolkit. Ito na ang inaabangan ng lahat. Ano nga bang meron dito sa toolkit na ito at paano ito makakatulong sa mga Juana na nangangarap maging bahagi ng STEM, hindi ba? Alamin natin mula sa Communications and Advocacy Officer ng STEM plus PH ng Unilab Foundation Incorporated, Ms. Diane L. Aguas. Ms. Aguas is the project lead for Pinay Scan STEM. She graduated from Ateneo de Manila University with a bachelor's degree in information design last 2018 and is recipient of Loyola School Awards for the Arts or LSAA for Visual Arts. Wearing many hats, Diana's work in communication, visual design, and project management for various initiatives related to her advocacies, namely in education, health, women empowerment, and children's rights. She believes in power of an effective and purpose-driven strategy matched with good designs to effectively tell the story of organizations, empower communities, and initiate change through meaningful content and collaboration. Diana's dedicated more than 4 years working in development to help bridge gaps in communities and the country. She hopes to continue do more good work with like-minded individuals for better Philippines. How about some heart reactions from Miss Diane Aguas? Miss Diane, magandang hapon. Magandang hapon po.
Magandang hapon, Anjun. Maraming salamat. Thank you for that
po.
introduction.
Siyempre naman, iba, bigati ng mga guests natin ngayon. So ma'am, take it away. Ano ba itong toolkit na ito?
Sige, thank you. Thank you ulit, Anjun. Ang magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. On behalf of Unilab Foundation, I'd like to extend my gratitude to the Philippine Commission on Women for joining us in empowering young girls in STEM and for the initiatives that continue to strengthen and forward this. So again, I'm Diane, and today I hope to talk about not just what the toolkit is, pero kung bakit natin kailangan magtulungan para umunlad ang STEM sa bansa. And of course, para bigyan ng mga oportunidad ang mga wana natin sa STEM. Pero bago ang lahat, tanungin ko lang muna yung mga audience at guests natin. Kung nandito pa si Anjun, baka patulong na lang siguro sa comment section. So I want to know from our audience today, what first comes into your mind when you think of STEM or yung science, technology, engineering, and mathematics?
Oh,
So,
yan.
comment lang
Guys.
to our
Oo.
participants.
Yes, pagkakataon nyo na to. Ano ba yung pumapasok sa isip ninyo kapag naririnig nyo yung science, technology, engineering, and math? Tama po, no ma'am? Okay.
Yes.
So yan, tama po.
Ikaw,
So
Anjun,
yan,
ano yung thoughts mo at first sa STEM?
Hindi kasi ako actually paborito kong subject yung yung science lalo na nung bata ako. I even dream to become an astronaut. Yun naman talaga yung parang naging template na, pero actually interesting siya. Lumaban ako actually dati sa yung dun sa scientific investigatory project sa division
Yes.
level, umabot ako doon. Yung namin doon is Flascow tiles. Pero actually ginagawa na siya ngayon nung isang sabihin na yung isa dito sa Pasig City, parang na-adapt nila yung idea pero hindi naman originally sa kanila idea, pero The objective is hati-hatiin yung mga plastic into small parts and then gawing hollow blocks, parang ganun, as alternative to hollow blocks, actually. Yun yung pinaka naging experience ko regarding dyan sa science. So, ma'am, kayo, ano po ba?
Oo.
Okay. So, yan. Sa mga kababayan natin, yan. Hope for the country in the Philippines, the future. Ano ba? Basahin natin. Interesting. And,
ang dami.
Yan, ma'am. Innovation. Ang dami. Ang dami. So, yan.
Biodiversity. Future scientist.
Ang
dami nga pala.
Yes, ang dami. Bigatin.
Okay, ayun.
Iba ang dating ni Madam. Solutions. Yes, bet ko yun, solutions. STEM is for the future. Future, tama po yan. Dahil yung mga ginagamit natin ngayon, produkto rin ng pag-aaral noong nakaraan. Astig, yun. Innovation, innovate. Yes. Yan yung lagi. Smart. Yes, smart. Tama naman yun. Curiosity. Sabi nga kanina ni Miss Chona, di ba? Tuloy-tuloy ang siyensya. Is this a continuous process of seeking for the truth? Research. Indeed, we need research for us to have science. Okay. So now, ma'am, let's proceed.
Ang dami nga pala,
sa ating, ang daming may
Yes.
idea tungkol dito. So now, ano pa ba yung tungkol dito sa natin, dito sa ating toolkit? Can you
Yes.
tell us
Thank
more
you.
about it? Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Anjun. So I think how you described it, Anjun, and the rest of the audience, that's how STEM is supposed to be naman talaga. Kasi when we or yung students natin think of STEM, it's automatic that they see it as hard, or it's only for those who are the best in their math or science classes, diba? So siguro nung bata tayo, sasabihin natin sa magulang natin na, ay, bagsak ako sa science, bagsak ako sa math, di ko talaga kaya. Tapos, ayun, agree na lang din sila. So, it is evident that there's this confidence gap among the youth. They think once they fail, wala na silang pag-asa sa STEM. So this lack of motivation and encouragement really contributes to the lack of students in STEM who actually want to pursue the field. But what people also need to realize that STEM is more than that. It is now an integral part of our lives, and it has moved just beyond yung science and math classes natin, di ba? Especially now in the 21st century, these innovations have become increasingly important, especially now in this pandemic, diba? May mga vaccines na tayo, we have new technology. So we see the importance of STEM in solving these challenges in our world today. But of course, given this urgency, there are also several underlying factors that affect the youth's participation in STEM, especially more so towards women. The numbers here are from a recently conducted study we did called the Youth in STEM Report back in 2020. Here, it shows us that at a young age, girls are already convinced that STEM is a male-dominated field. So they don't see themselves in STEM-related careers. In the media, it's rare na yung mga scientists natin, yung engineers and other STEM careers are portrayed as female, diba? Usually male sila. So it doesn't feel achievable anymore for our young girls. Besides this, there's also a lack of confidence naman and support towards girls' capabilities, the lack of guidance, the ongoing gender stereotypes and biases. So they end up feeling, they lose interest to pursue STEM. And what happens nga if we don't include half the population when we solve these problems, especially in STEM? So this is where Pinay Can STEM comes in. We recognize the need to have more women in STEM to push for more young girls that they can achieve in STEM, and also that we should work together to amplify this advocacy naman in gender equality in STEM. So we do this by increasing the awareness on yung mga iba't ibang STEM careers, not just in medicine or engineering. We also introduce yung mga Filipino role models, and we try to connect our young girls to a very supportive community in STEM. So it is really our vision to let the young girls feel more interested and more confident in pursuing STEM. And ever since then, more and more Pinays have been sharing more about their experience in the field, whether in STEM or just them as women. And we give them that kind of freedom to be more vocal about yung mga challenges nila, which proves that so many Filipinas also experience the same thing, and so many Filipinas are also interested in STEM, which is why it's very important na we have to empower and celebrate our role models in the field, which is the foundation of Pinay Can STEM. We try to humanize STEM for these young girls. And of course, looking at the bigger picture of our advocacy, we build a supportive community for young girls in STEM. And one of the insights, again, from our Youth in STEM report is that girls are more likely to doubt themselves in their decisions and careers. So we hear girls say, di ko kaya ang STEM, engineering is for boys, wala akong trabaho naman sa STEM, which is why it's very important to validate yung mga na-experience nila dito. So grounded, of course, on our shared advocacies, UNA Foundation through Pinaiscan STEM has partnered with PCW to achieve a more equal future naman for our Filipinas in STEM, especially in terms of education careers. So PCW being an organization that really champions yung rights and of course the impact of the education sector and the rights of women, has really continued to highlight the importance and the role of education and the careers of the young girls when it comes to women's economic empowerment, their participation in the workforce, and of course, yung contribution naman nila to society. So we hope to provide more opportunities and spaces for women to thrive in STEM. Okay, so we are proud to launch and present the Pinaiscan STEM Toolkit. It is our STEM starter pack for every young girl who needs that inspiration, who needs that advice, or an extra push to pursue STEM. So this contains content from stories, from tips, from videos, experiments, and other resources, which is curated in a way to really entice young girls to start their STEM journey. So we hope that through this toolkit, more and more young girls will feel more motivated to pursue STEM. So this toolkit is also based on our research and the testimonials from our women in STEM. So here we see that Pinays are already interested in the field. They see its relevance, but they aren't equipped with the right tools and opportunities, and they're not celebrated enough by the people around them because of ongoing biases, ongoing stereotypes. So this toolkit is for 15 to 20-year-old Filipino students who are starting their STEM journeys or who are already in STEM. And we feel that during this time, it is very important to boost yung confidence ng mga young girls natin, especially wherein they are in that stage that they need to or they want to discover themselves, they want to discover their careers or who they want to be in the future. So this year, Pinaiscan STEM and PCW will be distributing the toolkit to schools as a resource material to help girls in finding role models and of course their calling naman in STEM. So this toolkit is also based on the insights from the GEW report, specifically on strategic goal area number 5, which targets women's participation in STEM fields. So it mentions the limited representation of women in STEM, the lack of gender-responsive policies in the workplace, the lack of awareness towards STEM careers, since this is still limited to gender roles, such as women are only meant to be nurses, only doctors. And it's important that we break these barriers that really prevent women from progressing in STEM and really involve them in more STEM careers, and also in planning and designing policies in STEM, as well as participate in STEM industries and, of course, the workforce. So Pinaiscan STEM, just like the GEW plan, aims to work towards having more women who are qualified, who are confident, and, of course, engaged in STEM-related careers. So it's important that these initiatives aim to addressing root challenges that prohibits women from fully participating in STEM. So we also believe that this can be better addressed, especially at a young age. Okay, so here, I will be talking about more what's in the toolkit, and I'll also discuss how we can access the toolkit. Okay, so the first section is the Kickstarting Your STEM Journey. So this is a guide on the different STEM careers that girls can explore, which is broken down into specific sections, namely science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But of course, we also highlight the importance of tying all these 4 fields together and how they're intersectional as well. So it starts off with a quick introduction on what STEM is, testimonials from actual senior high school students in STEM, and then the popular and also unconventional STEM careers, along with role models who have made significant contributions in the field of STEM. So here we emphasize that it's important that we end gender inequality in STEM, and that this begins at home and, of course, in school. So there's a need to address girls' stereotypical views of STEM, especially towards different STEM careers, STEM subjects, such as nursing is for girls only, engineering is for boys, which makes it difficult for women to see themselves in the kind of career that they want, when in fact they really shouldn't be limited naman in the field of STEM. We also have our STEM stories. So this features different stories of our role models in STEM. Here they talk about who and what inspired them in their journey, how they started their STEM careers. So similar to how si Doc Chana shared her story earlier, as well as the mga challenges, the achievements, and of course the life lessons that continue to keep them grounded naman sa work nila in STEM. So here young girls have shared that they often feel insecure kasi wala silang set path sa STEM, especially at the start, diba? It is also evident that women leave the workforce because of male dominance or the lack of gender or the lack of women role models and mentors in the professional field. So if this is not addressed, women will continue to leave, they'll lose motivation to pursue STEM. And all these personal stories from the women are proof that girls can really succeed and that it's okay to start from scratch, that failing is normal, especially in STEM. And of course, that the journey is really not easy. And by providing these girls with the women that they can look up to, by humanizing STEM, they also begin to understand their own capabilities. They see STEM as something that's more real, something that's more aspirational, and something that's more achievable for them. We also have our STEM resources. So besides the presence of role models and opportunities, there's also a lack of curated, contextualized, and relevant resources for Pinay students to explore STEM. So creating an inclusive STEM environment requires providing more gender-neutral learning opportunities to challenge stereotypes and to also support the girls' concepts and self-concepts and encouraging a growth mindset. So our STEM's resources section covers a variety of materials for young girls who want to learn more about STEM while helping them understand what STEM is about and also knowing more about their existing skills and interests that can link them to STEM careers and other study pathways. So this contains resources such as books, relevant reading materials, documentaries, experiments, even other websites and learning resources that will help them enhance their knowledge and skills in STEM. So it is through these resources where we inspire young girls to really engage more deeply with STEM, to see themselves as successful STEM learners and potential STEM leaders. We believe that it's really important that we show them that STEM is fun. Di naman siya mahirap. Hindi siya for the smart people, yung mga magaling lang sa science and math. We want them to see that STEM is relevant, it's creative, it's important through more hands-on and real-world problem-solving activities. Okay, next we have our STEM directory. So this contains a list of organizations related to STEM, to women empowerment and gender advocacy in STEM, where girls can take part in and also reach out to. So here we believe that when girls feel like they're part of a community that really accepts and supports them, all the more they feel more confident to take STEM. And this will help validate their experiences, yung mga feelings nila, and they can share also their interests, discover what's in store for them, and get to know the work of other people naman in different organizations and different industries. We also have our SLAM book. It is a personal journal for young girls to list their goals in STEM. We have different activities and prompts to help young girls in their paths. This is going to be in collaboration with our teachers who will be monitoring the students or the Pinays in STEM. So here they will be identifying their strengths. So this is where they can enumerate the areas where they are good at or where they can excel in. This can be used to help the student zero in a more particular STEM field or provide them a springboard to a certain direction. They'll also be determining their milestones where they can map out the steps that they need, the challenges they experience, also the motivations towards their own goals. And lastly, also a guide on how they can start their journey. So this will help them identify and solidify, of course, their career goals. So this is only 3 out of the many other activities and prompts we have on the SLAM book. So this step-by-step guide will really aid Filipinas in discovering the STEM path that they want, while of course remaining open to the different possibilities and changes in their STEM path. So this slam book is also based on the insight that young girls feel less confident about their strengths, or that they have a hard time actualizing their potential in STEM. So hopefully through this slam book, they can help identify the kind of steps or the steps that they need in making their goals a reality. On the other hand, this will also help UNAM Foundation and of course PCW keep track of the insights from these Pinays and gather these to inform research and other future policies. Okay, so we also have our PCS TV. So this TV channel contains videos of Pinay role models in STEM, namely My STEM Work. Here, a Pinay gives an introduction to the work that they do in their field. We also have My STEM Journey, where the STEM role model talks more about her journey in STEM. And we have also the My STEM role model, where a STEM Pinay will be engaging and talking with a STEM student naman, just to share experiences, to get advice, and of course, to learn more from each other. So here, it will be broadcasted through our YouTube channel. Okay, so to access the toolkit, we're flashing this form right now. We also have a QR code and a link to the form also. So this form is specifically also for schools and teachers who want to distribute this toolkit to their Pinay students. So if we have students here who are interested, you may course this through your school admins, coordinators, and your teachers also. Okay, so that's it for my presentation of the Pinay Skin STEM Toolkit. I guess before anything else, we may not instantly see it, but the way we innovate is also greatly banked on the STEM skills. You know, yung mga research, collaboration, problem solving. These are very important for students to be successful sa mga career paths nila, regardless of yung mga interests or goals. So with STEM careers becoming more and more in demand, having more people, having more women especially, so bring a more diverse group in STEM really leads to more innovation and is good for the country's development. So until we really involve half the population, these innovations and breakthroughs can really only do so much and can only go so far. So this Women's Month and beyond is really our chance, not just UNAM Foundation and PCW. It's all of us here right now watching this webinar. It is our chance to make that lifelong promise to really create a world that is more equal for all women in STEM, for all genders in STEM. So it really takes that conscious effort to build or to at least break the biases and provide opportunities for Filipinas to thrive, and of course, to celebrate their own power, their strengths, and their dreams. So maraming salamat po and more power to Pinays in STEM. Happy Women's Month.
Okay, yes, girl power sabi nga nila, no, women power. Yan ang importante sa atin ngayon dahil alam naman natin na yun na nga, science is an integral part of our lives and it is necessary for us to have a gender equal society. We need to get out of our box, hindi ba? And ano yun this is one way. This initiative is one way to break stereotypes, hindi ba? Dito sa STEM. And yun nga ma'am, nakakatuwa dahil makakatulong ito para lalo pang palawakin at lalo pang mahikayat yung ibang mga estudyante or yung mga kabataan natin na nagnanais pasukin itong mga career sa STEM dahil malawak po yan at marami pong options. And sana yung mga nanonood natin dyan, ng mga school supervisors, mula po sa education sector, sa academe, at maging yung mga estudyante, sana po subukan po nila itong programang ito dahil napakaganda. It will help humanize STEM, identify the capabilities of our youth, and yun nga po, we have the STEM library which will help us understand further about the STEM and curated and contextualized principles tungkol po dito sa STEM. And now, ma'am, syempre, thank you very much for that very thorough and motivating presentation about the Pinay Skin STEM Toolkit. Malaking tulong po ito, ma'am. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much po. And now, for those who are interested in the toolkit, go to the link or scan the QR code that you see on your screen. Yan, there. You see on your screen the link or scan it using your smartphones, the QR code on the screen, and fill out the online form. Yan. Para po, malaking tulong po ito, lalong-lalo na dun sa mga kabataan na nanonood sa atin ngayon. Ayan, ipopost din po namin yung link doon sa aming comment section. So guys, hanggat may oras pa tayo, hanggat tayo nandito sa ating live stream, at sa mga susunod pang araw, pwede nyo pong i-play ito para makita ninyo yung QR code na yan. Nakapost din po yan. So, try it. And it will definitely help you to be inspired to enter to the world of STEM, lalo na po sa ating mga kabataang babae at sa mga kababaihang gustong pasukin ng science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Kaya po, again, maraming salamat Miss Diane Aguas para po dito sa Pinay Scan STEM Toolkit. Okay, Pinay Scan STEM Toolkit seeks to help in addressing the gender gap in STEM education in the country. Pero ano nga ba ang sitwasyon ng mga wana kaugnay ng STEM pagdating sa curriculum natin sa bansa? At ano ang mga hakbangin para mapaliit ang gender gap sa STEM? Kagaya nga nabanggit kanina, may gender gap po tayo pagdating dito. Bibigyan tayo ng ideya ng ating susunod na speaker, si Dr. Charlotte Chong. Professor Dr. Charlotte Chong is the current Dean of the University of the Philippines College of Medicine, or UPCM. She is an internationally recognized neurologist who pioneered cochlear implantation surgery in the country to restore hearing in deaf children and adults. She was the founding director of the Newborn Hearing Screening Reference Center in UP Diliman, or should I say UP Manila, is that to be corrected, former director of the Philippine National Ear Institute, former UP Manila Vice Chancellor for Planning and Development, and past president of the Philippine Society of Otolaryngology, head of neck surgery. She was elected academician of the National Academy of Science and Technology in 2020. Dr. Chong played a key role in the passage of the following laws in 2009, the Republic Act 9709, or an act establishing a universal newborn hearing screening program for the prevention, early diagnosis, and intervention of hearing loss. In 2007, Dr. Chong was given the Outstanding Filipino Physicians Award by the Department of Health and the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation in recognition of the heroism of physician experts who elected to serve and give back to Philippine society. Other awards in recognition of her excellence and pioneering work in the field of ear research, education, and leadership were received from UP, PSOHNS, UP Manila, UP Alumni Association, UP Medical Alumni Association, Dangal ng Bulacan Foundation Incorporated, among others. In 2018, Dr. Chong became the 17th Dean of the UP College of Medicine that was founded in 1905. Now on her second 3 years term as Dean, Dr. Charlotte Chong hopes to realize the completion of new medical science building with a clinical simulation center and a graduate medical education center at UP Manila campus. For more scholarship and grants are also being established to help more students. Laga namang napakagandang pakinggan nung background ng ating next speaker. Let's give it a round of virtual applause to Dr. Charlotte Chong. You can now have the floor, Dr. Chong. Magandang hapon po.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ans, for your kind introduction. It's really an honor for me to be here with you.
We're also honored to have you here. You now have the floor, ma'am.
Yes. Well, to the distinguished officers of the Philippine Commission on Women, Chairperson Sandy Sanchez Montano, my friend Tess Gonzalez, who kindly invited me to give this talk, to the representatives of Unilab Foundation Incorporated, especially the Executive Director, Lilibeth Aristorenas, who was a classmate from UP Diliman, other distinguished resource persons like Dr. Chona Beledo, whose talk I really enjoyed so much, and to the young STEM women learners in the forum today, a pleasant good afternoon. My task is to share some thoughts on how to bridge the gender gap in STEM education. I represent today the academe, but would like to disclose that while I am the Dean of the UP College of Medicine, who could very well represent the academe, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a mathematician, I'm not a computer scientist, so that would limit my discussion, given that coming from the health sector as an ear, nose, and throat surgeon or otolaryngologist, it can be argued that I may not be really hands-on in having experience in designing a curriculum in STEM, especially in the K-12 program. However, we do have intermed or 7-year medical curriculum in the UP College of Medicine, whereby we actually accept STEM graduates from public science high schools as well as private high schools. And we have been able to ensure that gender is not an issue. We actually have been accepting equal number of males and females into that program. And I can assure you that we continue to look at the ways by which we are able to nurture our medical students, especially our female medical students, so that they can explore pathways to become what we call six-star physicians. Six-star physicians are physician scientists with nationalist fervor. And we also accept a lot of female students into our novel ND PhD program. We also have seen how surgery and other fields, which used to be very inaccessible to women, now open their doors to more women since about 3 decades ago. The UP College of Medicine was established, as mentioned, in 1905. It predated the establishment of the University of the Philippines system by a few years. In fact, in 1912, as mentioned, the first female graduate was Dr. Paz Mendoza Guanzon, who actually wrote and published the first paper on bangungot. In 2020, one of our foremost rheumatologists, Dr. Lourdes Manahan, would have turned 100 years old had she been still alive. She is also one of the physician scientists who described the Rotor-Manahan-Florentin syndrome, which is recognized worldwide. We have many women role models in medicine, including the first female graduate of Harvard Medical School, Dr. Fe Del Mundo, who actually was the top graduate of UPCM class 1933, and who used bamboos, radiant warmers, and cloth weighing scales for newborns in the rural areas. Many women national scientists who were former members of our faculty, like Dr. Lourdes Cruz in biochemistry, Dr. Perla Santos Ocampo, who developed mass-based health programs for the treatment of diarrhea and pediatrics. We can also credit Dr. Nelia Cortez Maramba, who developed the langundi as a cough preparation. One might argue that medicine is both science and art, but as this pandemic crisis has painfully taught us, science and art underscore a lot of the areas in the field of medicine, and that unprecedented advancements in science and medicine can be instituted in order to save humanity, so that humanity can actually survive better than in the past pandemic of 1918, when 50 million to 100 million actually died in that pandemic. My own researches during COVID-19 were achieved with several colleagues in diverse fields in medicine, including Dr. Mike T., a rheumatologist, and public health experts like Dr. Pau Ubial, as we developed the saliva test for the Philippine Red Cross. This was actually launched in January of 2021 using an algorithm that actually allowed COVID testing to be less painful, less expensive, and practical than the predominant nasopharyngeal swab. This was actually funded and implemented by the Philippine Red Cross. And in another published study, we also showed how more accurate this saliva test was compared to the nasal antigen test. I should really mention that it was really a Filipina scientist, Dr. Diane Ranoa, who actually developed the method at the University of Illinois so that university students could actually come back earlier to campus with our weekly testing protocols in place. So if you look back, for over more than a century, we have indeed closed the gender gap in medicine. But why not in other fields like engineering, mathematics, chemistry? Could it be because there are more role models in medicine? Or because UP College of Medicine admissions have given equal number of slots to men and women since the 1960s? Studies have shown that educational pipeline is important, as the gender gap could likely have started in early childhood, whereby interest in those fields can be unsustained due to barriers like gender bias by peers, where a female in biology who outperforms a male classmate will still be perceived as less competent. Gender bias of parents who would encourage girls to consider non-STEM subjects as choices for future careers, and gender bias among teachers who would give boys more time to discuss and rate them higher than their female counterparts, even while a preponderance of teachers are males. Or perhaps there may be discouraging instances of sexual harassment or discrimination against girls, such that bias has led to less financial and material support, notwithstanding reported lower pay scales for females by employers in industry. So you can see that historically, the odds have always been stacked against women in education in our country. Our generation has not been spared, as even in our own surgical fields, women have been actually discriminated due to a variety of factors, like marriage and children would be disruptive to the training program and maybe may compromise services with maternity leaves in the Philippine General Hospital, for example. In this last pandemic, our colleagues have complained of less productivity due to competing responsibilities as frontline healthcare workers while being primarily responsible for non-paid activities at home, like helping children with their homework because of these remote learning platforms. This is not only an issue facing women here in the Philippines. In fact, a McKinsey report showed that women's jobs are actually 1.8 times more vulnerable to the pandemic crisis than their male counterparts. So clearly, there are issues that affect women globally even today. So have we looked at the role models in STEM being given the space in basic education textbooks so girls at a young age get to know role models early on? Have we looked at practices where boys are given more financial support than girls should they choose STEM studies? Are there discoveries of women scientists and their contributions to Philippine society discussed enough in Trimedia? Do we give training in programming and other advanced digital skills to girls early on so that they can be at par with boys, especially in a very highly complex and virtual world? In the field of medicine, many glass ceilings had to be broken by those who came before us. Some sadly were denied the first choices because of gender and had to contend with their male mentors, allowing them only certain roles, like a former dean and director of PGH, Obstetrics and Gynecology, Dr. Gloria Aragon, who actually had to take obstetrics because she was not accepted into general surgery. But there are silver linings. When I recently reviewed the percentage of female-led researches during the pandemic that have received funding at the UP College of Medicine, which actually amounted to almost 1 billion pesos. Female-led researches were even more than male-led researches at a ratio of 1.6 to 1. While women first authored published researches actually comprised 47% of about 164 of the total 346 publications. So there are now also more women in residency training programs in the fields previously dominated by men, like neurosurgery, pediatric surgery, otorhinolaryngology, and even ophthalmology. So in a recent report by Dr. Joseph Bio of the Science Education Institute of the Department of Science and Technology, she reported that we have actually made progress in the gender gap in science and technology. This is indeed welcome news, and this ecosystem that sees more women in science and technology should really be sustained. Perhaps they should also spur more efforts in ensuring that we produce more women scientists with skills like parallel thinking, undertaking curiosity-driven research, flexibility, and innate ability to adapt to changes in mid-career while leveraging emerging technology that should be developed in the curriculum in STEM classes. In the UP College of Medicine, we launched pre-pandemic the UP CBOL. CBOL stands for Surgical Innovation and Biotechnology Laboratory, where young doctors who see problems at the Philippine General Hospital now work on about 11 projects with the UP College of Engineering, and this is funded by the DOST PCHRD. In fact, you may be able to listen to some women biotech innovators in an upcoming forum on March 31, sponsored by the DOST, the National Academy of Science and Technology, and UP CBOL, with speakers like women professors of biology and chemistry, Dr. Doralyn Dalisay, Cynthia Go, Dr. Engineer Leslie Diaz, and our own faculty, Dr. Portia Marcelo, who developed the RX box for fetal and maternal telehealth monitoring, as well as OB-GYN Professor Dr. Tonet Habana, who developed a pillow for COVID pregnant women who needed to lie prone in prone position. So it's been stated that one of the best ways to predict the future is to create it. I have done so on a personal capacity. When as a young graduate in medicine, I decided to one day be a pioneer cochlear implant surgeon in order to restore hearing among very young deaf children as young as age 1 year old. It actually took me 12 years from 1986 as a young intern to 1998 to realize that goal. And in another 10 years to advocate for newborn hearing screening that became a law, or RA 9709 in 2009, having realized that if I were to remain a surgeon, I would be lucky to be able to implant 1,000 deaf children, while if a law mandating newborn screening can be passed, then more children born deaf will have a chance to still develop speech and language because of early intervention with hearing aids and speech rehabilitation. So actually, these were all realized because there was support from Congress, and clearly the researches that we did that established the burden of congenital deafness among Filipino newborns, with one deaf child being born in the country every 3 hours, or deaf babies being born every day in the country. It was actually easier for the congressmen and the senators to pass that law, and that was signed by former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. So this newborn hearing screening program actually brought down the age of cochlear implantation from an initial 5 years of age, which was clearly too late for somebody to develop normal language, to about 2 years and a half now, which allows a lot of our children undergoing cochlear implantation to have normal speech development. So this program had been highlighted in the United Nations in 2017, where I was invited to talk about the cost effectiveness of a community-based program. And we also showed that 4 million savings per child who's born deaf with appropriate intervention could be saved by the Philippines. And this would amount to billions of pesos every year. So with appropriate intervention, this was even cited by the World Report on Hearing that was just launched last year. We are actually now in the phase 2 of developing a locally made hearing screening device in collaboration with the Telehealth Center of UP Manila and also the UP College of Engineering. And we are now looking for an industry partner through the UP RDFI or foundation via a cradle grant. In this, we physicians collaborated with women engineers for the artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms that were incorporated in that locally based hearing screening device. So if I were to strategize, as my experience has taught me, as a surgeon, as an educator, as a researcher, as well as an advocate for a national health program, I think that we need to invest in more researches, looking for the evidence and the gaps in knowledge regarding STEM education for girls, and pour our collective energies using the diverse expertise of many from the different fields to inform our policies and strategies for a future where gender no longer becomes an issue for the pursuit of a career in STEM for Pinays and young Wanas in our country. We all need to collaborate, support, and give more incentives to schools which nurture and enroll more girls in STEM, providing more learning opportunities and skills training to sustain their skills, sending them to work with peers and mentors who will inspire them in an ever-changing landscape and a future where STEM jobs will actually outnumber non-STEM jobs and careers. This is the future that we need to create. We need to give support for young scientists who aspire for a work-life balance in the academe or other industries so they can raise daughters to become future scientists as well. I'm sure the digital toolkit that you are actually launching today will certainly be a big help for this, and I would like to express my heartfelt congratulations. It is indeed a great task ahead, and so also a very worthwhile project for all of us to undertake. Your support in the Philippine Council of Women or Philippine Commission of Women, the Unilab Foundation Incorporated, and the other organizations here joining for this laudable program augurs well for a brighter future for the young aspiring women scientists in our country who will likely define a future we could not even imagine. Thank you. We indeed STEM up. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. Over to you, Ange.
Yes, STEM up afternoon po sa inyo, ma'am, at maraming salamat po for that very comprehensive speech and wordings that you have given to us. At yun, gusto ko lang uli i-highlight yung sinasabi ni ma'am na STEM is the way for us to, that STEM could serve as proactive interventions on possible long-term problems of this country. Masusolusyonan po natin yung mga problema natin through this. And at the same time, dapat hanggat maaga pa lang, binibreak na natin yung tinatawag na gender bias upang sa gayon ay hanggang sa bata pa lang yung sa batang edad pa lang ay mahikayat na sila sa kung anong gusto nilang tahakin sa buhay nila at ma-encourage sila na subukan yung mga related po na mga fields dito sa STEM. At yan po, Dr. Chong, maraming salamat po sa ibinahagi ninyo. Kaya napakahalaga ng Pinay Can STEM Toolkit na ito para po mas mahikayat pa natin yung future generations na mga STEM practitioners po natin. Again, Dr. Charlotte Chong, the Dean of the College of Medicine of the University of the Philippines. Magandang hapon po at maraming salamat po sa inyong pagbabahagi sa amin. Okay, if you have questions to our speakers for this afternoon, mamaya po, pwede po ninyo yung, pwede po lang masagot yan. At i-comment lang po yan sa aming comment box for your questions. Feel free to have it posted on our comment section. And now, let's proceed. Let's move on, ang paborito kong word, to our last speaker for today to talk about the bigger picture in encouraging us to pursue STEM in our advocacy to promote gender equality. Now, we have PCW Executive Director Attorney Christine Rosary E. Yuzon Chavez. So currently, the Executive Director of the Philippine Commission on Women, the primary policy-making and coordinating body on gender equality and women empowerment, and the Secretariat for the Interagency Council on Violence Against Women and Children. Prior to her assumption to the office, she was in the private practice of law and was administrator of various businesses, hers and her family's. Edie Christine, or should we say Edie Crahy, is a staunch women's rights advocate. She took on pro bono cases on violence against women and their children and advocated for gender-sensitive policies in the workplace. A strong believer of women economic empowerment, she worked with local women, small and micro entrepreneurs, or SMEs, to help them with local distribution of their products. And now, that I'm so proud to welcome our Executive Director, Attorney Christine Rosary E. Yuzon Chavez. Take it away, Edie Gray. Good afternoon po.
Hi, Ange. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon po, ma'am. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon sa lahat ng ating viewers. Greetings of gender equality and women's empowerment. So when we hear the words engineer, mathematician, scientist, inventor, what is the image that comes to mind? Is it a woman or a man? If it is a man, this may be because of the reality that women are still underrepresented in many careers related to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. According to the UNESCO's 2017 report, Cracking the Code, Girls and Women's Education in STEM, women comprise only 35% of STEM students in higher education worldwide. In a 2021 UNESCO science report, it appears that women remain a minority in digital information technology, computing, physics, mathematics, and engineering. In the Philippines, there is good and bad news when it comes to numbers of women in STEM. According to a 2021 report of the Philippine Statistics Authority for Medical and Allied Disciplines, there are more women enrolled, amounting to over 33,000, compared to only 11,000 plus for men. But the gender gap is still existing in engineering and technology, with only 27,000 women enrolled compared to 59,000 men. Hence, the launching today of the Pinay Scan STEM Digital Toolkit is surely a milestone. It is a powerful instrument to encourage young Juanas to pursue careers in STEM and prove that gender is never a limitation in reaching for your dreams. The digital toolkit can also help address gender gaps existing in STEM, as discussed in the updated Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Plan, or the GWEP plan, for 2019 to 2025. This GWEP plan highlights the intersectionality between gender equality and STEM. The plan seeks to address two key gender equality issues. First, that women and girls are not sufficiently benefiting from advances in science, technology and innovation, and information and communication technology. Second, that there is limited participation of women in higher level technical and leadership positions in STI and ICT. Now, the first issue was exacerbated during the pandemic. The health crisis caused the people and governments to rely on the so-called fourth industrial revolution technologies, including artificial intelligence, robotics, the Internet of Things, 3D printing, genetic engineering, quantum computing, and other technologies. Hence, Juanas must be able to step up in STEM so they can utilize these technologies. Case in point, if we can harness the power of STEM, innovations can help drive women's enterprises. For one, the Department of Science and Technology has its Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program, or SETUP, which assists micro, small, and medium enterprises to adopt technological innovations to improve their products, services, operations, and increase their productivity and competitiveness. Improving women's access to STEM advances and products can also improve their way of life. Agencies and private institutions can work on the strategic use of technology to address women's access to social and financial services. Under the GWEP plan, another good indicator will be increasing the STI startup enterprises owned by women, as well as those that are involved in internet retail trade or e-commerce. Then there's the issue of the limited participation of women in science, technology, and innovation, as well as in higher level technical and leadership positions in the sector. There may be different factors that hamper women from engaging in STEM careers. One will be gender stereotypes. STEM fields are often viewed as masculine. Some adult figures, including teachers and parents, may underestimate girls' math abilities starting as early as preschool. Another reason will be the overrepresentation of men in STEM. This leads to notions that these fields seem to perpetuate male-dominated cultures that are not supportive nor attractive to women. Next, they are not aware or exposed to a lot of role models, seeing limited examples of female scientists in books, media, and popular culture. Hence, the stories in the Pinay Scan STEM can really help in introducing models to emulate and take inspiration from. However, despite the challenges, women thrive in other STEM aspects. Based on a DOST survey done in 2018, women are well represented in the scientific research and development in government and higher education institutions, both public and private, at 58%. This is higher than the world average of about 30% in 2017. When it comes to enrollment in STEM courses, PSA data as of February 2020 show that it is 43% female, relatively a good representation, and could be traced to scholarship programs that encourage female students to go into the STEM fields of study. The PCW firmly believes that addressing the gender disparity in STEM can benefit not just Juanas but the whole country, especially in a post-pandemic backdrop. STEM careers are often referred to as the jobs of the future. If women have equal opportunities to strive in STEM careers with higher pay and better benefits, this can help narrow the gender pay gap and enhance their economic security. According to the Pew Research Center, a typical STEM worker earns two-thirds more than those employed in other fields. But some of the highest earning STEM occupations, such as computer science and engineering, women are low in numbers. But little by little, attitudes have been evolving, with studies linking investors' confidence and greater profit margins to a diverse workforce, hence the need for more women in STEM related industries. A Forbes article states diverse teams produce better outcomes. This is because of the presence of alternative perspectives, which more often than not lead to the optimal solution. Thus, in STEM fields where innovation is key, gender diversity can propel new breakthroughs, deeper research, and fresh perspectives. Advancing gender equality can also benefit research in general. A more representative workforce leads to more voices being heard and problems being targeted from a variety of angles. By encouraging inclusivity and supporting girls who want to pursue STEM, we open pathways and opportunities for greater innovation and scientific success in the long run. Representation is also essential to the future of innovation. It must be noted that many early inventions were designed for men, leaving the needs and concerns of women who comprise half of the world's population. For example, some personal protective equipment like the seatbelt, the knee pads, eye and ear protection are not suited for women. Hence, closing the STEM gender gap can ensure that innovation will not exclude half of the population, innovation that better represents the needs of the entire society. Empowering women in STEM and other fields can drive the country in achieving different goals, including food security, ending poverty, ensuring health, and reducing inequalities. The UN Women reports that when more women work, economies grow. Women's economic empowerment improves productivity, increases economic diversification, and income equality. Boosting the educational attainment of women and girls, including in STEM, also contribute to women's economic empowerment and more inclusive economic growth. Education and upskilling, in order to keep up with technological and digital transformations, are critical for women's and girls' health and well-being, as well as their income generation opportunities. Women's economic equality is good for business. Companies greatly benefit from increasing employment and leadership opportunities for women, which is shown to increase organizational effectiveness and growth. It is estimated that companies with 3 or more women in senior management functions score higher in all dimensions of organizational performance. As this was mentioned in McKinsey and Company's article, Women Matter, Time to Accelerate, 10 Years of Insights into Gender Diversity. These contributions of women in the economy can be highlighted while the country still reels from the pandemic. In a brief by the Asian Development Bank entitled "COVID is no excuse to regress on gender equality," it was shown that STEM jobs and professional work have fared relatively well during the COVID-19 crisis due to their suitability to remote work. Hence, if women have greater STEM opportunities, they can opt to work remotely while still earning adequately and taking care of their families. Going back to the updated GWI plan for 2019 to 2025, the PCW highlights that there are several actions that can be taken in enhancing the role of women and their benefiting from developments in the STI and ICT sectors, including support for early career researchers and women researchers who are among those that have been severely affected by the disruptions caused by the crisis. Technology and innovation support for MSMEs and entrepreneurs affected by the COVID-19 crisis. Investing in the diffusion of digital technologies to help companies deal with confinement measures, and support to build the agility of the STI country system by providing grant extensions to innovators affected by COVID-19. In a COVID-19 world and beyond, the PCW will continue to rally behind every Juana dreaming of pursuing and excelling in STEM. We look forward to a gender-responsive society where women benefit from and contribute to the important fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Let's prove that Pinays can STEM, Juanas can inform, inspire, and empower. Thank you very much and happy Girl Child Week. Back to you, Anjun.
Thank you very much din po, Edith Ray, and Happy Girl Child Week din po. Gusto ko lang din i-highlight muli yung pong regarding dito sa kahalagahan nung siyempre for us to attain gender equality. Dapat yung para ma-sustain din natin yung sabihin na nating equality sa pagbuo ng mga STEM products, kailangan doon pa lang sa una ma-break na natin yung gender bias doon sa STEM field mismo, hindi ho ba? And at the same time, interconnected yung problema natin pagdating sa food security, ending poverty, and all of these problems actually, kinakailangan na we need to enforce further the policies na related po doon sa GW plan na makakasiguro na mas marami pang kababaihan ang mahihikayat po na pumasok sa field ng STEM. And again, Edith Ray, maraming salamat po. And now, with that, puproceed na po tayo sa ating open forum. Maraming salamat po, Edith Ray, doon sa inyo pong ibinigay ng words sa amin. And now, let's now have our open forum. And everyone, yung ating po mga speakers. Now, again, let me introduce you once again si Dr. Chona Camille Vince Cruz Abeledo. Nandyan din po ang Dean ng UP College of Medicine, si Dean Charlotte Chong, si Miss Diane Aguas ng Pinay Can STEM Up Toolkit, at si Executive Director PCW Christine Rosary Iuzon Chavez. Good afternoon po, Masdams. Good afternoon po sa lahat. Okay. Yan, ma'am. Ano naman? Purple Heart naman dyan sa mga kababayan natin na nanonood ngayon, at doon sa mga katanungan po nila ay maaari pa rin, continuous pa rin po ang pagpo-post ninyo ito sa aming comment dyan, sa comment side ng aming live stream sa kasalukuyan. Okay? So now, ang ganda ng mga naging discussion natin, at alam naman natin na interrelated itong mga dinadanas natin tungkol dito, no? And now, let's have our first question for the open forum. So, we have from JP Cortez, how do you plan to monitor the impact and journey of Pinays with the toolkit? So, I think it's for Miss Aguas. Yes? Miss Aguas?
Yes, thank you, Ange, and thank you, JP. Yes, hello. Thank you, JP, for that question. So how we plan to monitor is, first, we want to partner with yung mga schools natin, so specifically mga high school or senior high schools. And then we want to coordinate with if they have a career guidance office or any guidance office that will help us in determining yung career interest ng Pinays in STEM or who are interested in taking STEM. And then once we've partnered with them, we will be distributing tests, so pre-test and post-test, to better determine yung interest and confidence ng mga Pinays natin in STEM. So this consists of what kind of career do they plan to pursue, how do they plan to take it, and we'll also be distributing evals naman on how what they think of the toolkit, what can better be improved, and how can this better help them or help future students naman. So all of these insights will be used to, other than monitor yung impact, of course, of the materials, it will also help us, Unilab Foundation and PCW, in future policies, future initiatives similar to Pinays Can STEM.
Okay, maraming salamat po doon sa inyong kasagot. Meron pa ho ba na naisumagot dito sa ating board of panelists? Okay. So let's proceed to our next question. I think we have another question from there. Okay, what are the plans of PCW to encourage more women and girls to pursue STEM? That is from Miss Daniela T. Yes, Edith Ray, I think. Yes po.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that question. One of PCW's focus areas is the education sector. So through our sectoral coordination division, we intend to coordinate with agencies and stakeholders in the education sector. One of the goals is to prevent gender biases and stereotypes, which is embedded in the curricula, our instructional materials, our learning media, the textbook illustrations, and other educational materials and school policies, particularly in the basic education. And so we hope that this will eradicate stereotypes that hamper young girls from pursuing STEM. We are forging partnerships with relevant institutions like, of course, UNILA Foundation for the launching of Pinay Can STEM, and still in the works is a partnership with the National Youth Commission to be able to influence efforts towards advancing gender equality in STEM.
Okay po ma'am, maraming salamat doon. And actually, PCW has been very active in partnership with government agencies as well as private entities like the UNILA Foundation and many more. So, doon sa mga kababayan natin na may mga katanungan pa po, lalo na doon sa mga estudyante natin dyan, na kanina pa nakikinig dito sa ating live stream, pwede po sila mag-comment dyan sa aming comment box sa ating Facebook page or sa YouTube page. We're just waiting for it. And now for the next question. Okay, for the next question, will the toolkit be available to STEM organizations and industries? That is from Mika Kalahip. Miss Mika Kalahip, yan po yung question na yan. I think the question is better suited to Miss Diane Aguas. Miss Diane?
Thank you, Anjun, and thank you to Mika. So it's definitely in the pipeline right now. We just want to, of course, to pilot and focus on the schools and the students. But soon we hope to develop a toolkit for industries and corporations to better influence also yung mga policies nila, targeted of course towards the professionals in STEM to better understand ano ba yung mga challenges nila and how can industries and of course different organizations work together to break the biases in STEM. So yes, it's definitely in the pipeline. We hope to have it soon as well.
Okay, actually maganda ito lalo na dun sa mga nakikinig sa atin from the schools kasi nandito yung mga curated and contextualized na mga babasahin na maaaring makatulong to further understand STEM. So I think we have another question or may iba pa bang mga natin dyan, ma'am, mga ating mga kasama po na maaaring makasagot nito, or should we proceed for the next question? Okay, let's proceed to the next question. Okay, for Dean Charlotte, yan, specifically mentioned na po. Mahirap po ba ang intermed and mataas po ba ang grade requirement for a STEM graduate to be admitted on specific course within your college, I think? Yes po, ma'am?
Well, actually, for the intermed, when UPCAT used to be administered, you have to be at the top 1% of those who actually scored in the UPCAT to be considered for the intermed program. And then we interview about more than 100 of the top 1%, and we just accept around 40 students for our intermed or 7-year medical curriculum program. However, for the past 2 years, because of the pandemic, there's no UPCAT that was administered. So we actually look at the GWAG, and there's a formula that was formulated by UP Diliman, UP system, that looks at grades as GWAG as well as some other factors like graduating from a public school and so forth. So we actually saw that there were more private schools that were accepted, graduates from private schools that were accepted in the last cohort of our intermed entrance. I'm not sure about this year though, because I think there was another new formula that will be actually used. So the application for the College of Medicine already stopped for our lateral entrance program, those who graduated from the baccalaureate. But for the intermed, we're still waiting for the list from UP system.
Okay, very interesting and at the same time doon sa mga naghahangad po na pumasok sa ating Premier State University, magandang balita po 'yon at I think lalo na doon sa mga kabataan natin na nakikinig po or nanonood sa atin ay may enough time pa para paghandaan ito dahil alam naman natin na yes, it is worth the fight for the post there, and at the same time napakagandang oportunidad po na makapag-aral sa State University gaya ng University of the Philippines. Opo. So ma'am, any additional
I should add pala na we're just waiting for Congress to release the increased capacity for medical schools budget. Because if they will release that, we could actually accept more students in the intermed. So we are looking at accepting around basically 40 more additional students to the usual 180 students of the UP College of Medicine. We can actually increase it to 220 if we can get the money from Congress that they promised in the GA of last year.
Opo, malaking tulong kasi na mapaglaanan din po ng karampatang pondo itong ganitong field. Lalo-lalo na ngayon nakita natin yung kahalagahan not just ng ng medical field but also the STEM itself. Yung apat na na yun na quadrant nung tinutukoy natin dito. Dahil dito lumabas yung vulnerability natin, masyado tayong dependent dun sa ibang industry na supposedly kayang-kaya naman siyang tugunan ng STEM. Hindi ho ba? Interrelated yung mga problema. At I think may gusto atang sabihin yung iba nating mga kasama po na ating mga resource person. Okay? So, okay. Let's have another question from our participants now. Okay? Question. Does UP have other initiatives that bridges gender gap in other STEM fields, technology, engineering, and math? That is according to Anne. Okay po. Dean Charlotte?
Well, I'm not really sure about the UP system for engineering, but I know that there's always been an impetus for accepting more women into these programs. And I feel that this gender bias is slowly being corrected. For the College of Medicine, na mga 1960s pa po, equal na yung number of female and male applicants who get accepted. So that's how we are able to ensure gender equality at the UP College of Medicine. So mga 1960s pa equal na. And we have stuck to that proportion even for our intermed programs and basically for our MD PhD program, ganun din. So what we are doing is just creating more pathways for them to choose whatever career. Pero we're trying to break the notion na pagka ikaw doktor, ay ano ka lang, nanggagamot ka lang, and you're just a clinician. Actually, at the UP College of Medicine, we do encourage a lot of research. So they really become scientists, and we collaborate with other scientists all over the world to be able to come up with solutions. For example, yung luga na akala natin, dahil mahirap na bansa lang tayo, so nung nagpunta po kami sa Boracay, nakita namin doon, kalahati ng mga tao doon may luga. Kahit matatanda na o kahit bata. We discovered, meron pala silang genetic mutation na AM2L1 and this we publish in Nature Genetics. So, lumilitaw, meron tayong mga genetic mutations na can be responsible for some of the common diseases affecting our indigenous population. So we're now going to try to develop a mouse model. I'm hoping that an MD PhD student will be able to take care of mouse and we can develop a mouse model so that later we can actually develop a gene therapy option for this population. So that's our hope. So marami pa tayong pwede pang gawin and we need to look at our own data. We need to look at diseases that affect Filipinos because we cannot just adapt hook, line, and sinker yung mga pinapublish abroad. Yung mga congenital deafness, akala nila GJB ito yung most common. Nakita namin, hindi yun ang common sa Pilipino. Ang common is the SLC26A4 and just recently published in Genes na we have about 11 novel variants as a cause of congenital hearing loss among Filipinos. So, ibig sabihin, ang genetic pool po ng mga Pilipino na bingi ay ibang-iba kaysa sa ibang bansa.
Okay, dito po mapasok yung sinasabi ni Miss Chona kanina kung bakit interesting na sumabak tayo dito sa field ng STEM. Kasi kung dito natin sa Pilipinas gagawin yun, marami tayong explore pa at talaga namang makikita natin na yung ilang scientific problem, let's say, I don't know if it's a proper term, scientific problems or scientific thing that we need to discover for future research, because we know that science is a never-ending process of seeking the truth. Hindi ba? Nandito lang din sa ating bansa mismo. At yung iba nga na-discover natin, kagaya ng medical condition doon sa island namin sa Panay, doon lang pala nakikita yun. Yung regarding... Yes, so po, nagulat din po ako na ito rin ay produkto rin ng pag-aaral dito sa Pilipinas.
Yes.
Hindi ho ba? Talagang makikita natin kung gaano kahalaga itong mga ganitong bagay. Lalo na ho sa paglutas ng ilan sa mga matagal ng sakit or should we say mga kondisyon. And hindi lang ito regarding po doon sa mga sakit, kundi doon sa mga ever revealing problems natin sa environment, hindi ho ba? Kagaya Miss Chona, pwede ko bang ito karagdagan tanong ma'am, 'di ba dito sa alam natin na isa sa major polluter ng should I say plastic polluter ang bansa. So far ma'am, ano yung mga na-discover niyo on how yung laki ng impact nito dun sa fisheries natin? Yun lang, yung tanong ko lang. Kasi parang hindi siya masyado na-bring up. Ang laging binibring up sa atin is kulang na yung mga isda natin. Ano yung implication ng plastic pollution naman po doon sa ating fish supply?
Okay, thank you so much for that, Anjun. And you're right, the Philippines is actually the third largest contributor of plastic waste in the world. We're second only to 2 countries that have gigantic populations. So, sobrang nakakalungkot siya. And during the pandemic, this actually became worse. I think sometime around 2020, nagkaroon tayo ng halfway through 2020, meron na agad tayong 50 metric ton in excess of the plastic waste that was produced in the previous year. So, sobrang nakaka-shock siya. And one of the key contributors to that is, guilty rin ako dito, our tendency for online shopping. Kasi mapapansin nyo, pag nag-shopping tayo sa internet, meron na siyang bubble wrap, may plastic wrap, and so on and so forth. So those were one of the findings that we had in some of our recent studies that we performed using citizen science, where we asked the participation of ng mga Juan at Juana natin all over the Philippines to help us figure this out. And in terms of fisheries, ang issue natin with plastic is with microplastics. Kasi plastic, pag napunta siya sa dagat, ang degradation niya ay facilitated ng araw, dahan-dahang nadudurog yung plastic hanggang umaabot siya sa point na microscopic na yung size niya. Nakakain siya ng isda at ng kung ano-ano pang organisms na nasa ilalim ng tubig. At pag hinuli natin yung mga organisms na ito, makakain natin sila at papasok din yung microplastic sa katawan natin. We still don't have any specific numbers if this is causing the decline of our fisheries industry, but fairly recently, we have seen a 10 to 30% decline. But that's a combination of climate change and other types of pollution. But I think Dean Charlotte would agree na yung presence ng microplastic sa katawan natin ay nakaka-bother at nakakatakot at napakarami pang pwedeng pag-aaral ang ating gawin para makita kung ano talaga yung magiging epekto niya sa ating kalusugan.
Okay, thank you very much for that. But before we move on to the next question and more discussion, let us thank first our Executive Director, Attorney Christine Chavez, for your time. I think may engagement pa. Any last words, ma'am, for our viewers?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank our speakers,
Yes.
of course, to Unilab for co-organizing this event with us. Pinay Scan STEM is really important para ma-level up natin ang ating numbers in STEM to encourage more women and girls to take up STEM. So I hope that you will have a fruitful discussion with our very distinguished speakers ngayon. Maraming salamat po. I still want to join you, but we have another engagement kasi nga National Women's Month, so sunod-sunod yung ating invitation. So thank you very much for the inputs na ating speakers this morning, and I hope that you will have more fruitful discussion after I leave. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much po, Edie Gray, at maraming salamat po sa inyong oras sa amin. Ma'am, thank you very much po and good afternoon. That is our Executive Director on the Philippine Commission on Women, Attorney Christine Rosary E. Yuson Chavez. And now, ang maganda yung nabanggit ni Ma'am na itong mga bagay na ito talaga ay interconnected, and even sa community natin at maging sa hinahain na sa ating pagkain, may epekto po yan. Kaya kailangan pa natin ng further study on it at makakatulong po, di ba? 19,000 pa yung kailangan po natin na kababaihan ng mga scientists para makasunod tayo doon sa mga counterpart countries natin sa ASEAN pagdating sa science and technology and development as well. Now to the next question, we have Okay, sorry, live po tayo ngayon, ano? Okay, so yan again, kagaya na nabanggit ko kanina, yun nga po, importante na sa community natin dapat involved din sila pagdating sa decision making, and malaking epekto nung nararanasan natin on a wider spec na pupunta na pala sa kinakain natin, hindi natin alam. Kaya naman importante na magkaroon tayo ng karagdagang pang mga mag-aaral lang STEM para sa gayon ay makasunod tayo doon sa development po nung ating mga kapitbahay na bansa sa ASEAN. And now, let's proceed to the next question. For Dr. Chona, yan, specifically for Dr. Chona, how do you encourage more Filipino scientists to work, stay here in the Philippines? And how do you have any advice on how I could get my parents to support me in taking a career in STEM? That is according to Jess Aquino. Ms. Chona, you now have the floor.
Okay, thank you for that, Jess. I think convincing people to work passionately for the Philippines, kailangan mag-start siya ng maaga. And so I have to thank my amazing teachers from the Peninsula School in Bataan, from the Philippine Science High School in Diliman, the National Institute of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology in UP Diliman, and the amazing faculty of UPOU and De La Salle University. Sila yung nag-brainwash, sila yung nag-convince sa akin na magstay dito sa Pilipinas kasi pinakita nila sa akin kung ano yung value ng pagre-research sa Philippines. Napakita nila sa akin yung napakalaking pwedeng maging contribution ng isang Filipino scientist sa Philippines. So it really is a gift to be a teacher. And teachers are gifts to us because they help show us these things. But apart from that, meron po akong nunal sa paa. Alam niyo yung pamahiin na pag may nunal sa paa, mahilig maggala. Going around the Philippines made me fall in love with it. So we have to thank the Department of Tourism for their amazing campaigns to showcase the beauty of the Philippines. And kaya po ako naging ecologist kasi gusto kong mag-dive, gusto kong umakyat ng bundok, gusto kong makita lahat ng ito. And since hindi naman po ako mayaman, being a scientist opens the way for me to go to these places. Kasi pag kailangan mo mag-research, syempre yung project yung magbabayad ng airplane mo, ng pagkain mo, and it really opens so many doors of growth. Now, when it comes to convincing your parents, siguro wag mo munang agad sabihin gusto mo mag-dive tsaka mamundok kasi baka mag-freak out yung parents mo, no? Kasi definitely my mom freaked out when she found out about all these things kasi baka hindi daw safe. But I recall, happy naman kasi yung parents ko to go into STEM. My father was an engineer and my mother wanted a doctor in the family. Pero when they realized that I wanted to be a researcher more than a medical doctor, dun kami nag-away. Nakapasa po ako sa intermed program, tapos hindi ko siya tinuloy. 3 buwan po akong hindi kinausap ng nanay ko. But eventually, we were able to patch things up when she realized how much the discipline I chose made me happy. And I think we have to have faith in our parents, in our family, that they want what's the best for us. And sometimes we have to help them see what's best for us. And at the end of the day, what's best for us is what makes us happy. So going on field makes me happy. Kahit sobrang sunog na yung balat ko, puro na ako sunburn, my mother finally realized that that's what made me happy. And so she gave me her blessing, and now I'm on this amazing adventure that's still going on. So, ayun po. Thank you.
Actually, no, yan yung kagandahan talaga kapag nandun ka sa field na yun dahil ang daming places pa dito sa Pilipinas. Being one of the mega diverse country, ang dami pang pwedeng madiscover dito. So, let's proceed to our next question. Yes po. I think, yes. Go ahead.
Singit ko lang. Just to show you how crazy my adventures have been. Last November, we were in Lanao del Norte. I mean, very few people have gone there to talk to fishermen working on mangrove crabs. We were able to swim the ocean there to look at changes in pH and salinity. Last January, we were in Batangas, and then we were able to go to Fortune Island and observe yung crown of thorns infestation. And just 3 days ago, I was swimming with whale sharks in Donsol.
Wow.
That's iba. I mean, ako mismo sobrang ang saya-saya ko sa ginagawa ko. Nakakapagod siya pero you know, it para saan ka gumigising? Para dito. So,
Tama,
yun.
ano?
Thank you.
Napakaganda. And ang dami talagang i-explore sa ating bayan. Lalo na pagdating sa field ng siyensya. Lalo na dito. Iba talaga pag sinabing mega diverse country. When I say mega, talagang ilang isla ba meron tayo. At yung iba doon, hindi pa nadidiscover at kamakailan lang. May ilang mga discoveries pa, no? Na dito lang pala sa atin makikita yung mga yun. It reminds me of Dr. Giselle as well of UP, kung saan yung ilan pala sa mga nasa ilalim ng karagatan natin ng mga corals, pwede pala maging source ng ilang mga agent yun versus cancer, hindi ho ba? So yun, napakaganda at napakalaki ng potensyal ng ating bansa. Kaya po maganda rin ho talaga na dito natin simulan yung ating STEM path, hindi ho ba? Lalo na sa mga estudyante dyan na nakikinig. Ako, ito na siguro yung sign. Ito na yung sign. That's why you need to visit the Pinay Can STEM Up Toolkit. Mamaya, mag-i-announce po uli namin ang tungkol dyan. At ngayon, for the next question, yan. How do you react to STEM students who pursue non-traditional career paths? Sa lahat po ito, no, ng ating speaker. Example, policy making, communication, multidisciplinary research field, art and culture, etc. Do you think is it worth encouraging according to Miss G. Rojas? Anyone can answer. Ms. Tams? Yes po, Miss Dayan.
I can start siguro, Anjun, siguro. Thank you, G, for that question. So here in STEM plus PH, at least, and Pinay Can STEM, besides promoting the STEM careers, we also value the STEM skills. So research, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, these are all very essential, not just in STEM careers, but in other careers. So in arts, in marketing, in business. So this is something we also want students to value, that when you're in STEM, it's not just because you're good in math or science, it's because you also value that STEM is a field of innovation, it's a field of critical thinking. So we highly encourage to think of STEM that way, instead of yung mahirap siya, hindi ako magaling dyan, but small things or these skills that you learn is very beneficial, especially as you get older and when you enter different kinds of careers in the future, diba? Sabi din kanina na who knows what kinds of careers naman we'll have in the future, diba? Dati wala namang data science na career, now there's a data science career. So there will be more careers talaga in careers that involve these kinds of STEM skills. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that, Miss Dayan. I think our two speakers would have to add something. Let's start with Dean Charlotte Chong. Ma'am, I think you're muted. There. Yes po, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay na po. Yes.
Yeah, I think
can
that
hear you.
if a student from STEM goes into a non-STEM field, I think we should respect that because at the end of the day, what's important is for them to pursue what they think is their passion. No? So, kailangan kasi gusto nila yan eh. And there's nothing to prevent them from actually working with people from STEM because they've already some background. There's also the possibility of actually changing careers midway. Maraming ganon. Like, for example, ako, nag-doktor. Later on, I went into policy making. Nag-MD ako, pero when I turned 50 years old, nung inaaya na ako ng mga kabarkada ko mag-ballroom dancing, sabi ko, parang gusto ko yata mag-PhD. So nag-PhD ako sa Radboud University of Nijmegen using my life work, which is newborn hearing screening, as my thesis dissertation. So I was actually able to defend my thesis successfully when I turned 50. So I think, our life is becoming longer. With all the advances in science, there's a possibility that we will actually live longer than our parents. And so the career that you embark on initially might not be the career that you end up with. So what is important is for you to really introspect and try to find out a path by which you can wake up every day having some purpose in your life that day, and at the end of the day being able to thank the Lord na, well, I think I did well today. Sana po bukas magising ako uli and be able to do more, especially for the people that I love and the people in my country, our fellow Filipinos, who really need our help in so many ways.
Indeed, Dean Charlotte. And now, I think may additions pa si Miss Chona. Dr. Chona?
Yes, Anjun, thank you for that. Ang inspiring ng sinabi ni Dean Charlotte, no, about us being able to do U-turns in life and figuring out other things that we want to do. And I think, yes, it's healthy for us to encourage individuals to have multidisciplinary and even interdisciplinary careers in their lives. Some people are better suited for specialization, while other people are better suited for diversification. And I guess just to give a shout out to some STEM heroes, sheroes that inspire me. I think of Cami Navarro. She's an MBB graduate who became one of these amazing science communicators here in the Philippines. Now she's working in Singapore and definitely waving that Filipina flag proudly. And it's inspiring for me to see this young woman brave the science communication field after spending so many years in the lab. So for me, amazing yon. I also have a master's student, si Marwil Vardeleon, si Mau. She's specializing to be an MS biology student, but she's now exploring the field of painting. And she's recently been exhibiting in all places in the Philippines. And I proudly have 2 of her paintings in my wall right now. And she paints coral reefs at one time. And yung depth of feeling na meron dun sa art niya is definitely different kasi scientist siya eh. Na-dive niya yon, nakita niya yon, iba yung wonder. And then there's Dr. Ibilu Bandala-Golia, who started out as a physicist, who became an environmental manager, and she's now helping with the School of Architecture of PUP. These women amaze me because they show me that we can actually be flexible. We don't have to put a box even in the fields of study that we're doing. So pag nabore ka, pwede ka pang mag-aral. And I love what Dean Charlotte said, na mahaba ang buhay natin and we should take advantage of that. So I'm looking forward to all of those U-turns in our future.
Yes, naniniwala din talaga ako doon sa kasabihan na life is a never-ending learning experience. And at the same time, yun nga, it's not about the destination, it's the journey that is important. With that, and I am very proud once again, and I am very glad na nakilala ko po ang aking mga kasamang STEM specialist, yung ating mga STEM women, ang ating mga Pinay Can STEM Up Inspirations. Yan. Dr. Chona Camille Vince Cruz Abeledo, and si Miss Diane, or should I say Diane Aguas, and Dean Charlotte Chong. Maraming salamat po sa inyong mga naibahagi po sa amin at pagsagot sa mga katanungan po ng ating mga participant ngayong hapon. Malaking tulong po yung mga sinabi ninyo, yung mga positive things, and at the same time, yung realizations po na inyong ibinahagi sa amin, lalo na sa mga kabataan ngayon na naghahangad pumasok sa STEM. Ito po ay maging inspirasyon sa kanila at makakatulong po makahikayat sa iba, and at the same time to beat the gender bias on this STEM. Muli, maraming salamat po sa inyong mga salitang ibinahagi sa amin ngayong hapon. Thank you, ma'am. And Happy National Women's Month po. Okay, yan na po. Maraming salamat po sa kanilang maging partisipasyon ngayong hapon. O ngayon, guys, ito na nga, no? Marami tayong natutunan ngayong hapon na ito. And for those people, yes, thank you to our participants and also to our speakers for this afternoon who sent their questions, and thank you to our resource persons for providing the insightful answers. And now, to those who are interested in the toolkit, go to the link or scan the QR code that you can see on your screen. Yes, there. Nakikita po nila. And also, you can fill out that online form. So, makikita nyo rin po actually siya sa comment section natin. Yung regarding po sa Pinay Can STEM Up Toolkit. And now, to close this session with another empowering message, it is our privilege to have the presence of the Department of the Interior and Local Government's Undersecretary for Mindanao Affairs and Special Concerns, Miss Marjorie Halushos. Yes, STEM Up afternoon. Yusek Marge, magandang hapon po sa inyo, ma'am. You now have the floor. Yes po, ma'am.
Hello,
good afternoon.
Magandang hapon. We STEM Up, Wana, para sa teknolohiya at agham. Napakalalim pero napaka-importanteng bahagi ng araw na to. itong topic na ito. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Bago ako magsimula, gusto ko munang batiin syempre ang ating Philippine Commission on Women, Executive Director Attorney Cray Chavez na napakinggan natin kanina. Syempre, hindi natin makakalimutan ang ating chairperson, Sandy Montano ng PCW, si ED of Unilab Foundation, si Ma'am Lilibet Aristorenas, sa ating Communications and Advocacy Officer of STEM Up Philippines, Ma'am Diane Aguas, Professor Chona Vince Abeledo, and Dr. Charlotte Chong na nakibahagi sa ating kanina. At sa lahat po ng Juanas at Juan joining us in this very special event, isang God Day po sa ating lahat. Ganyan na po ang pagbati ngayon, hindi na good day, God Day, kasi nga gender and development. It's really an honor for me to deliver the closing remarks for this very significant initiative ng STEM Up, which is the official launch of the Pinays Can STEM Digital Toolkit. This is very timely as we are celebrating National Women's Month and the protection and gender fair treatment of the Girl Child Week. As stated in the proclamation, every girl who is below 18 years of age should be provided with equal opportunities and adequate protection to prepare her for her role in community development. Hence, this project is very relevant as it aims to empower and encourage young Filipinas to pursue their STEM dreams through the provision of content and resources, ranging from stories and tips from notable Pinays in the field and other informational materials na makukuha niya. This also targets the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment or GWE Strategic Goal Area 5. The expand benefit and leadership in science, technology, ICT, infrastructure, and energy. And we all know how much these opportunities are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. It is undeniable how much growth science and technology have gone through to meet the urgent demands caused by the pandemic. However, there is also a huge opportunity gap in terms of access to, participation, and leadership, despite women and girls being on the front lines of energy use, climate change adaptation, economic production, and holders of extensive traditional knowledge. According to the Commission on Higher Education, just 2 in 7 engineering students are female. Tatandaan niyo yan, may mga kababaihan din na nag-engineering. But only 41% of students taking IT-related courses are women. And women make up only 43% of STEM enrollments, and mostly in non-engineering or non-IT fields. This shows just how underrepresented women are in the fields of STEM despite WANAs having shown and proven their greatness and tenacity countless times in this field along with their male colleagues. I, for example, for one, believe that our country has made significant strides in promoting and increasing women's participation in a variety of professions. However, just like how women are still underrepresented in the political field despite comprising half of the country's population, I say we can do more. We can do more by starting to acknowledge the barriers preventing girls from enrolling in STEM fields. And that's why we're here as adults and public servants. We must take into account the barriers that girls face and the ways in which we could lessen the gender divide around skills, connectivity, and safety. When it comes to barriers, stereotypes and gender norms, they definitely dampen the interest of girls in STEM. Lahat tayo ay nagdaan sa ganito at lahat tayo nakarinig ng kapag lalaki talaga magaling sa math. O kaya naman, di naman kaya kapag lalaki dapat engineering or IT yung course niya. Di ba usually ganun ang lagi nating naririnig? These kinds of messaging make it seem like males are the only ones good and superior at math. Hindi kaya mga babae rin magaling sa math. It makes each encounter with math and technology frightening, triggering self-doubt. At bilang isang ina po ng isang batang babae, my daughter is now 12 years old, hindi ko gustong maramdaman niyang siya ay mahina dahil lamang sa kanyang kasarian. Hindi na po ganun ngayon ang ating panahon. I want all women starting from girl children to feel empowered, knowing that there are endless possibilities and opportunities out there that they can embrace without holding back themselves. This is why representation matters. When girls see women flourishing in STEM, it allows them to grasp their own potential and normalizes that women too can find success and fun in STEM. We also know that more often than not, these gender stereotypes rarely communicate accurate information and are harmful to both men and women. So now I call on parents, teachers, and all academic institutions to foster a mindset that emphasizes hard work rather than innate ability in improving performance. Aside from stereotypes, the social status and income of families also affect the academic performance of children. Students coming from low-income families are significantly less likely to take advanced STEM courses and pursue STEM professions later in life. This makes sense because since parents with higher incomes are more able and likely to invest in the education of their children. In turn, this social status gap forms a narrative that those who can be doctors or engineers are the rich, which shouldn't be. Dapat hindi ganon. Aside from social discrimination, girl children from low-income families are also more susceptible to abuse and exploitation. Some of them have to stop their education in their early years to take care of their younger siblings, and some are even exploited by their own family members in order to have food on their plates. The COVID-19 exacerbated their suffering and even made them more vulnerable to dangers of society. In connection to this, I am very delighted that the Republic Act 11648, or the Special Protection of Children Against Abuse, Exploitation, and Discrimination Act, was signed into law just last March 7. This increases the age of determining the commission of statutory rape from 12 to 16 years old and aims to protect children from sexual abuse and exploitation. Through these kinds of laws, we are casting a wider net to protect more children from being sexually abused and exploited, especially by adults. By ensuring that our children are protected, we are eliminating one of the barriers hindering them from achieving their dreams. From there, we can formulate more policies and programs that can level the playing field for all the children. With this, I want to give my sincerest gratitude to everyone who made this project possible. To Unilab Foundation Incorporated and Philippine Commission on Women and other partners, kudos to each and every one of you. I cannot emphasize how important this initiative is to furthering our agenda of advocating for gender equality and women's empowerment. We see your hard work and know that is deeply appreciated. Through your support, there is no doubt that we can trust our girl children to lead the future, the better future. An African proverb states that it takes a village to raise a child. In this Girl Child Week, let us commit to working together to ensure that every girl is protected from all forms of sexual abuse and exploitation. Let us all cultivate an environment that promotes the attainment of their full and maximum potentials. Muli, maraming salamat po at mapagpalayang araw po sa ating lahat na mga wan at wanas. God day, everyone.
Thank you very much for that kind words, Yusek March. And I do agree with Yusek March na yun nga po, nagsisimula po talaga yung pag-break ng gender bias sa mga tahanan and being a mom as well, hindi ho ba? And also,
Di ko
binigyan din niyo yung...
naririnig.
Okay po, okay lang po ma'am. So, representation,
Sorry.
leadership, and policy. And at the same time, yun nga po, let's start to normalize women in STEM. Muli, maraming salamat po, ma'am, sa inyo pong pagbabahagi ng inyong words. The ALG's Undersecretary for Mindanao Affairs and Special Concerns, Miss Marjorie Halushos, and we thank you for those wonderful words. Now we are approaching the end of our program. To our viewers who want to get their e-certificate of participation, narito po ang mga kailangan ninyong gawin. Inuulit po namin ha, kailangan nyo po itong gawin para po makakuha kayo ng e-certificate of participation. Sundin lamang po ang instruction na ito. Mag-fill out ng online attendance form at ipadala ang inyong feedback tungkol sa activity by accomplishing PCW's activity evaluation form. Again, kailangan mag-fill out po ng attendance form at ipadala ang inyong feedback tungkol sa aming activity by accomplishing PCW's activity evaluation form. Makikita po ninyo ang mga links sa attendance registration at evaluation form sa comment section. Yan, nakikita niyo dyan. At sa text description o caption ng ating live stream. Malalagay na po yan maya-maya lamang. Maaari rin po ninyong i-scan ng QR code sa screen gamit yung smartphone para ma-access sa mga yan. Ipadala po ang e-certificate sa email na inyong isinulat sa mga forms. So siguraduhin na tama ang detalye na inyong ilalagay, lalo na po yung inyong email address. Hanggang bukas, March 23, 2022, 11:59 ng gabi, alas 11:59 ng gabi lamang po pwedeng ma-access ang mga ito. Kaya maigi na i-fill out na po ninyo ito ngayon pa lamang. Tanging mga nakakumpleto lamang po ang makakakuha ng e-certificate. So follow the instructions, guys. So now, bago tuluyang matapos ang ating programa ngayong hapon, syempre narito na ang inaabangan ng marami, ang announcement ng winners sa ating online quiz. Let's now see who are the lucky winners. Sa ating ginawang energizer kanina, ang mga inampalang mapalad. Ayan na po. Congratulations sa mga sumusunod. Miss Joyel Ilagan, Christine Alto Ortiz, Erika Perez, Hannah Nicole Ariola, Korean word, Lenny Ke. Yan. So again, the winners are Joel Ilagan, Christine Alto Ortiz, Erika Perez, Hannah Nicole Ariola, and Lenny Ke. So, para po, yan po, congratulations sa ating mga winners. Mag-message lamang po kayo sa aming Facebook page para amin kayong makausap tungkol sa pag-claim ng inyong mga premyo or prize. Okay po, i-message nyo po kami para maklaim ang inyong prize at makausap po namin kayo. Again, congratulations sa inyong mga nanalo ngayong araw na ito. Magkita-kita din po tayo sa March 25. Huwag kalimutan, syempre, makinig at panoorin ang hashtag MNK Fridays. Sabi nga nila, MNK Fridays. At syempre, paalala rin sa mga lumahok sa aming pulso para sa kababaihan online poll. Makikita po nila ang detalye nito sa aming Facebook page. Huwag po ninyong kalimutang sumagot dyan dahil ilang araw na lang po. Matatapos na po yan sa March 25, 2022, 11:59 p.m. Hanggang doon lang po pwede magsagot niyan at ang resulta po niyan ay ilalabas namin sa March 31, 2022. Exciting po yan. So now, muli, again and again, maraming salamat po. Sama-sama, we STEM up. Suportahan si Juana sa agham at teknolohiya. Ako po ang inyong lingkod, Anjun Magnaye. Magandang hapon po. We STEM up, Juana para sa agham at teknolohiya. Maraming salamat po. Godspeed. Please stay safe always.
Kung walang mangangahas na tumayo, masdan mo ang lipunang nagpapayo na kailangan ng isang katulad mo. Makinig ka sa akin, tinig ko ngayon'y dinggin. Pagkakataon na natin, ikaw na ang tatanghalin. Kailan pa kundi ngayon na sino pa kundi ikaw, Juana? Lirik may ilabas na ang bukas sa'yo itataya. kaibigan ko. Pangako ng pagtulong ang matata mo, sama-sama sa pagbangon ng bayan ko. Makinig ka sa atin, tinig ko ngayon'y dinggin. Pagkakataon na natin, ikaw na ang tatanghalin. Kailan pa kundi ngayon na sino pa kundi ikaw ang may ilabas na. Kung kasi yung itataya, desisyon may mga